Kia ora! Hello and welcome to KiwiRPG Week's 7 days of streaming. KiwiRPG Week is the annual celebration of the variety of exciting tabletop role-playing games and content coming out of Aotearoa, New Zealand, our land of the long white cloud. This week, we've got a gamut of giveaways, bundle deals, game showcases from now through Matariki. As we spend time here with friends telling stories this week, I hope you are likewise able to spend meaningful time with loved ones, looking back on this year and looking forward to the next one. Indeed, thank you so much for spending time with us here in our first TTRPG stream of the week. And we'd be remiss as well to not give thanks to KiwiRPG Week's partner, Wellington-based games shop BD&D, who donated all of our giveaway prizes. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Today's prize we'll be giving away to a lucky viewer at the end of the stream is a PDF copy of Arcane Crimes Division, the game we'll be playing today. More on that in a second. As well as a beautiful, softback color copy of It All Started in a Tavern, a collection of 700 adventure hooks and over 250 NPCs, 300 random encounters, and so much more. Very, very exciting. We'll be doing that drawing randomly at the end of the stream today. Anyone in Aotearoa with us in chat then will be eligible to win the prize. We'll do the draw live, so please stick around. We'll also be doing another prize draw, giving away a second copy of It All Started in a Tavern, if you purchase a copy of Arcane Crimes Division within the next 24 hours. And then you email proof of your purchase with your name and New Zealand address to kiwirpgofficial@gmail.com. Then you'll be entered to win. Winners of that prize will be notified July 1st, so good luck, everyone. We'll talk about all this at the end of the stream again as well. If you're looking for some sweet deals without any luck required, you can step on over to bdndgames.co.nz and use today's discount code NZBMini. And that'll be spelled out for you in the chat because that never comes across great audio only. And if you use that, then you'll be able to get 10% off BA Minis, or you can check out KiwiRPG Week game bundles on both DriveThruRPG and itch.io. They've got a wide variety of games, encounters, dev tools, signs, and more. They are seriously stacked bundles. I was just looking over it before this. I would list out what was in them, but there's honestly too many things. Just go check them out for yourself. Those links should be in the chat now or here shortly. So, with all of those fantastic deals and giveaways covered, we're just about ready to dive into our game. Today we will be playing Arcane Crimes Division. The game Arcane Crimes Division is by Dale Elvey from Imaginary Empire Games, and it's generally a lighthearted, deeply magical, buddy cop-styled whodunnit. And here playing our detectives, who will get to the bottom of our criminal conspiracy, are our intrepid players. We're going to do our introductions now, so please give us your pepeha, as well as any projects you want to point out or salient experience with TTRPGs that you'd like to mention. And let's say, how about Mel? Would you like to kick us off?
I would love to. Tēnā koutou katoa ko Peritania o Kutipuna. Kua whakamaro takotu e ngā hau awha o te moana arokoa. E noho ana au ki te whanganui a Tara, ko Mel Duncan aho, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Especially because it's Matariki, got a shout out to the gone before, the current, and the still to come. So I'm Mel Duncan. I'm a native of Te Whanganui a Tara, the head of Maui's Fish, Wellington. I have been hanging around Wellington RPGs for far too long, and I've published a few itty-bitty things out on my itch, and I'm so excited to play this game. I love everything Dale's done. I love it so much.
Wonderful, thank you. Next, how about Sero?
Kia ora, ko Sero aho. No te awa kairangi ki a uta au. Tēnā tātou katoa. Hi, I'm Sero, and I'm from Upper Hutt, New Zealand, born and raised. And my, TTRPG credits include streaming Monster of the Week Actual Play podcast, and publishing games on itch. And you can also find one of my Monster of the Week mysteries in the Codex of Worlds Apocrypha book.
Excellent. Go check that out. How about Karen next?
Karen, you're muted.
Well, Karen, while you work that out, Emma, would you like to go next?
Sure, I can do that. Oh, there we go. Do you still want me to go next, or do you want to have Karen go next?
Go ahead, and then we'll go to Karen.
Okay. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko America te whanua tupu, ke tamaki makarau, a e noho ana, ko Emma aho. Tēnā tatou katoa. My name is Emma. I'm from the U.S. I'm from a town very close in the middle called Kansas City. David and I recently moved to Auckland, and we have been involved, him a little bit more than me, I would say, in the TTRPG community in the US for 5 years-ish at this point. And I am a co-writer on almost anything that he writes, and we like writing different TTRPG things together, especially for the game Brindlewood Bay. But I was not involved at all in whatever he has planned for us with the Arcane Crimes because I was playing in it. So, am playing in it.
Excited to have you. Karen.
Kia ora koutou. No Peritania, no Witana, Oku Tupuna, e noho ana te, ki te whanganui atara a whau. Ko Karen Wilson tōku ingoa. Hi, I'm Karen. I live in Wellington. I have been playing role-playing games for a very long time, but my main kind of public stuff would just be GMing and writing games for CatCon, the Wellington role-playing convention. So shout out to CatCon, which runs every year at Wellington Anniversary. And I'm very excited to be playing this game. It's my first time streaming, and I'm a little bit nervous. So,
Same.
I think we're all. It's the first stream of the week. We're all a little bit nervous today.
But that's the thing. We don't have to worry about like following anybody up. It's just us.
True.
This was a
Yeah,
good.
we're
How'd you
setting
manage to
the-
land the first spot, David?
I'm just quick on the draw. I wanted the day. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko te amana te whakapaparanga, ko America te whenua tupu, ke tamaki makoro o e noho ana, ko David aho, tēnā tatou katoa. Hello, everyone. My name is David. I'm going to be your host and GM for today, running Arcane Crimes Division. As Emma so aptly put, lived in the U.S. most of my life, but we have moved to Auckland and are really enjoying life there, living now in New Zealand. And involved in TTRPGs for the last 4 or 5 years. Ran a podcast called Trials of the Apocalypse, where we do one-shot games in different powered by the apocalypse. There's the word. Powered by the apocalypse systems. Been doing that for a bit. That's on hiatus right now because we were doing all this crazy moving across the world. And so this is kind of a major return to stream stuff, aside from what I've been running on the side for Sero and Sero's streams, running some Brindlewood Bay here and there. But now we're back kind of to mainline stuff, doing some Arcane Crimes Division tonight. I'm terribly, terribly excited about it. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I'm just super excited to have you all here for it. I think if anyone doesn't have anything else they want to say here in introductions, I think we're good to dive right in. Now, full disclosure, as we are playing today, I'm going to do my best to kind of like serviceably explain any salient mechanics as we go, but I will briefly describe the main gameplay loop before we really get into it. So our game today is going to take place in the diverse, divided, and deeply supernatural city of Polarity. Our detectives work for the Arcane Crimes Division, the magical crime-focused division of the city's chartered law enforcement. At the start of the session, a case is introduced for the detectives, and they're broken off into pairs to chase various leads. Informational clues and commodified progress points are earned by the detectives through investigation, interviews, infiltration, or interrogation as narratively appropriate. Our players are always racing against the clock, so depending on what actions the players take and how the rolls go, they may incur some kind of time cost or collateral damage, which can influence the detective's positioning in the confrontation with the villain, or their standing with the division captain, respectively. Working in particular city districts and various partner boosts grant the detectives verve, an in-game currency which is required for detectives to use their special abilities. Now, normally, cases in the game are broken into two major parts, with either a chase or a conflict after each phase, and then a final confrontation at the end. In order to better fit our stream today, we're going to be just doing that in a much smaller part. We're going to be amending that to a tighter gameplay loop, and we'll be kind of diving straight into that final confrontation at the end of the session. So look forward to that there. There are several wonderful cases inside of the Arcane Crimes Division materials, but rather than greatly abridge one of those, I've opted instead to just kind of write something up myself. A case I have in my notes, we are going to call, and then a blank, and I realize now that I never gave it a name. So we're just going to call it Nothing Ever Stays Dead.
Ooh.
Not
Exciting.
concerning at all.
Oh, sorry. Don't be worried. Don't be worried. You're all our intrepid detectives. We have nothing to be worried about. You're incredibly skilled, and definitely not currently
In
kind of
mortal
disliked
peril.
by your captain. Yeah,
Yeah. And some of us are very comfortable with the dead or the
Yeah.
undead.
yeah. Variety of experience. We'll get to the actual player characters here in a moment. But without further ado, everybody ready? Let's get into it. We start our game early in the morning in Polarity. The sun is shining, clouds gently wafting through the air. We pan down and we see a structure that is simultaneously shambling and towering. The Charter House is kind of an amalgam of offshoots, with all four of the major divisions of the police force based in different sections of it. And Arcane Crimes Division is no different, of course. Our detectives, as always, must be present for roll call in the briefing room each morning. However, this morning's briefing goes a little bit differently than usual. Inside of the briefing room, there's a set of tables. All the different detectives and some of the most important beat cops are all sitting about or loitering here and there. Up at the front of the room is our Captain Bone Pestle, a large, imposing, very muscular goblin woman. And as she's reading off the agenda for the various beat cops, where they're supposed to go, talking about different public enemies, number 1, 2, and 3, giving out cases to some of the detectives, it's quite conspicuous that none of our detectives are receiving any cases. She moves around the room and kind of walks around where they are seated. And finally, the roll call is over. The briefing ends, and as people are being filtered out of the room, she kind of beckons the four of you to sit in the front 2 rows. As she goes back up to her podium, it's just the four of you and her. I'm going to go for each character. I want you to briefly describe, maybe what your character looks like in brief, succinct language, and also, what are your nerves like in this moment as you've been held back by the captain. Let's do the same order we introduced everyone. So, Mel, would you go first with your character?
I'd love to. My character's name is Tinkerbell. She is of indeterminate species, but there's definitely some pixie in there somewhere because her hair is fuchsia and her fingernails are fluorescent green. She is a spell runner, a expert in running around necropolises and tombs. And it's totally all the dragon's fault. It's absolutely the dragon's fault.
Well, sitting next to you, I think sitting might be a bit of a stretch. Sero, for Ribrup, give us your description and also how you might be arrayed here, because you're a little bit, I think, too large or maybe not quite sittable as it might be.
I don't really have to sit at all. In fact, my character is Ribrup. They are a siege automaton, the Battleforged. So think a clunky kind of boxy robot with a wheel, some kind of arm-like appendages, and an assortment of devices somewhere in their internal cavity. That probably sums up Ribrup pretty nicely. As for nerves, what are those? I'm just waiting.
That's right.
I'm computing while waiting.
At the next table, we have our other two detectives. In this case, we have Emma, I think you're next, with Jade.
Jade Greenstone is a vaguely human, vaguely elven sort of creature. And you could probably describe her, as having feminine features, brown hair, blue eyes. No, probably green eyes. It would make sense for it to be green eyes, wouldn't it? Green eyes, but like every time you look at her, it's like slightly different haircut, slightly different color of hair, slightly different shape of eye, blinking a little bit differently than they were before. Nothing is like ever quite exactly the same. This is definitely like some sort of magical effect that it is difficult to pin down, even for Jade, who is ostensibly controlling it. I think that she is sitting there munching on a little box of pearls that she has, just throwing them in, crunching on them like Skittles. And I think that she has maybe not realized yet that we haven't received any orders as of yet, and that is strange.
Sounds about right for Jade. Sitting next to Jade, we have Karen with Knock.
Yep. So actually, I'm not sitting next to Jade, but I'm like leaning against the wall near the front, managing to look both like I'm lurking in the background and also really attentive. Yeah, Officer Darkwing, Duskwing,
Duskwing, I think.
not Duskwing, is a dark elf. They're wearing a big cloak that looks like it's covered in moth wings and slightly dusts off on things as they move around. They also always have a few moths about them. And they're nervous, but also feel like maybe they've been held back because there's something kind of special and interesting.
Yeah. You all look on with varying degrees of attentiveness and interest. And the captain, she goes back to her podium. She grabs off a couple of files. She heads back to the tables. And very slowly, very deliberately, her kind of clawed hands dragging along the tabletop, she sets in front of you one by one pictures of the veritable devastation left behind by the last two cases that you all worked. And she stands back. Detectives. She taps her hand on the table.
Oh,
this is unacceptable. 3
Very well.
gondoliers knocked from their boats into the water. A chimney collapsed on guards. Our very own evidence room lasered and cut to bits.
Okay,
Who
that one wasn't
knows?
our fault.
She cocks her head to the side. You were present, Officer Greenstone.
Yes.
And so were the culprits.
She turns her head to Ribrup. I noticed that the pattern of the beam etched in the wall seemed to be, well, it seems to match your weapon, officer.
I do not know what you are referring to.
She kind of sighs, puts her head in her hands.
I think you need to look on the bright side. You'll notice there was no fire damage this time.
Well, I appreciate you showing a modicum of restraint. She taps the table again. If this is what a modicum of restraint is, then I expect the 4 of you to... She kind of searches. Well, I expect the 4 of you to do a lot more for the next one. I take care of you. I don't want this to happen again.
Understood,
That
ma'am.
understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I understand, but just to be clear, what exactly is it that you don't want to happen again?
She taps. I don't want any more gondoliers going in the river. I don't want any more property damage on the factories. I don't want any more damage in this very charter house.
Yes, ma'am.
Or for that matter, anywhere else. The 4 of you have been demoted from your usual work for the day. You two, she points at Jade, and she points at Officer Bell. You two are gonna be beat cops down by the river. She points at Ribrup. She points at Officer Duskwing. You two, I got a stupid little case that came in today. Some small issue of petty theft at the Industry Spire. You two are gonna go take comments, talk to witnesses, iron out that very basic case today.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
4
ma'am.
of you, if you can do this to a satisfactory standard, will be reinstated to your normal work starting tomorrow. Can you do that for me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can.
We will do our
Affirmative.
best.
She sighs. That better be good enough. And she turns, gestures to the door. You're dismissed. Get out there. Get up. Get out of here.
Off we
And
go.
the 4 of you, some on foot, the other on treads, wheels. I can't remember for Ribrup.
I have a wheel.
Okay,
Just one?
Just one.
Cursed.
it's all you need.
That's all I need.
Uh,
But I also have the little arm things if I need to go upstairs.
Yeah,
I lean over. I
I
lean over
follow
to.
Ribrup.
Go ahead.
Yep.
I lean over to Ribrup and I say, "She seemed less angry this time. I think we're doing okay."
I concur.
I do not, but great. I'm glad to see optimism.
I don't usually cause that kind of problem, but maybe she let us off lightly because we looked good in the news.
Perhaps.
You know, like when we
It was
got the
Officer
painting back.
Greenstone's fault.
Yeah, and we got the painting back.
don't know what everybody expects from me. I have 2 things I can do. It's breathe fire and turn into a giant dragon. And fly, I guess.
You could try and do that subtly.
Subtly turn into a giant dragon.
Yeah, just tone it down a bit.
Okay.
I'm with Greenstone on this one. No, it's
I'll give it a shot.
Well, you are with
Subtle.
Greenstone today, so try and keep it together.
come on, let's go find out if we're on the East Bank or the West Bank.
Where do we even get beat cop uniforms?
I don't know.
She didn't say we had to be in uniform.
I feel like maybe it was implied.
I feel like beat cops usually have uniforms, yeah?
Yes. Yes.
I do not have a uniform, only a badge. In fact, one could argue I am naked.
I have
Let's
never had a
not.
uniform, so
We don't just have our badges. We also have magic handcuffs and a couple of other things
Primitive.
that I've forgotten.
Magic key.
Mm-hmm.
Skeleton key, a beeper, a badge, magical handcuffs, and for those who require it, a notebook and pencil.
Mhm.
I, however, have an inbuilt printer.
I was going to ask if the implication there was that Ribrup does not need a paper and pencil.
Yeah.
Fair
You-
enough.
you can take the notes today, Ribrup.
Affirmative.
Right, let's
Well,
go.
The four
Come
of
on,
you
Greenstone, let's go.
split up into different directions. We've got Ribrup and Detective Duskwing, who are going to be heading over to the Industry Spire, which is over in Midtown. So we're currently in 3 Points, which is where the Charter House is located. The two of you will be going over to Midtown for the Industry Spire. And then for Jade and for Tinker, Officer Bell, the two of you are actually staying in the same district. You're, for now at least, in 3 Points. But your beat has you down by the illustrious river, which is on the south side of the district. And you're kind of just walking the gamut from Three Ferry past the heavily barricaded district of Absolution, through the Inkway, and down by Tallow. You're just kind of doing that loop, responding to things as they happen today. And I actually want to pick up with the two of you first, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a question.
go ahead.
3 Points is one of my districts. Do I get a point of verve?
Mine too.
So I believe it's when you begin the phase in the district. So yeah, I think you both get a point of verve because we're entering the case phase.
Woohoo!
Points.
As we said at the beginning of the stream, verve is going to be a currency that they can use to power some of their more potent special abilities and stuff. So the other way to accrue that is through various partner boosts that their partners can do for them throughout the game. So,
But not for ourselves.
not for yourself. Are you your own partner? You know, we've got two detectives here, two crack detectives ready to handle the case. Or in this case, walk the beat.
Yay.
Walk the beat. Walk the beat, the both of you do. The illustrious river is bright, shining. You look across as you're walking along the dock. Beyond you, beyond the river, you see the towering stone walls of the necropolis, the district of the city beneath 3 Points where you are currently, which houses both the dead and the undead who are present in the city for the most part, give or take. And as you're walking along, you pass through Three Ferry, where the various ferries dock. You pass by Absolution, the most significant magical prison in the city and perhaps the continent. And you make your way past both of those, nothing out of the ordinary. But when you arrive at the Inkway, a series of docks with an eclectic mix of booksellers, cafes, some student bars, and also a little bit of kind of perpetual darkness. This part of the river, there's almost always fog on the water. There's almost always darker clouds in the sky above. What was a bright and sunny day is, even here in the early morning, somewhat darkened as you enter in through the Inkway. And walking along the dock, Jade, you see a familiar figure, a close friend of yours, someone who's helped you a variety of times. It's your pal Moby, who's a dock worker. I want you to imagine a middle-aged man built like 3 barrels stacked on top of each other. That's the rough silhouette I want you to think of. And he's pacing along the dock. He's a ways from the edge, from the water. He's got a sloop kind of sitting there. It's got nets in the water, which is kind of a strange thing. This isn't usually a part of the river where you're like doing any kind of fishing. And he's pacing back and forth. And as he spots the two of you walking along, he kind of eagerly stambles up. Oh, hey, officers.
Hey, Moby.
Oh, did you do something with your hair, Officer
Yes,
Greenstone?
I did. Everything.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And you, I think you've grown a little bit.
Oh, you know me. I'm always I'm carrying the boxes to and fro, moving things along the dock. You gotta
You look
keep
good.
this old body fit.
What's going on?
Oh, yeah. So we were working. There was a boat that capsized in the river this morning. They dumped half their cargo up, and we've been dredging the bottom for it, trying to pull it back out of there. And while we were casting our nets for that, we dredged up a body again. It's kind of common, what with Popper's Fields across the way. Sometimes the dead aren't quite put down properly. They're prone to wander a little bit from time to time. Wouldn't make nothing of it. Except this time seems a bit different. Fellow was dressed too nice, and it was damn near heavy enough. It nearly tore through our nets, but it poked a hole in it. That's why we've stopped dredging for now. I was fixing to call up Division anyway. This isn't, I don't think it's necessarily magical, but would the two of you mind taking a closer look?
Oh, absolutely, sir. Yes, please lead the way.
Oh, come on with me then. And he kind of turns around, and I imagine this man less walks, more waddles. He's just like so kind of thick. And he waddles on over down the dock towards where the sloop is parked, and it's got a rope cast on over the side. And there, nestled in between a few clearly waterlogged boxes, one of them like cracked open. There's like some very broken china spilling out. And next to one of those boxes, kind of leaned up against it, is a body, kind of dressed very fine. It's not quite a full suit, but it's got like kind of a nice cummerbund going on, slacks, kind of filigreed white shirt, and their head is kind of sloughed off to the side. They're staring off, and he says, gesturing, "Well, there he is. I've got to get back to dredging. If you need something, holler. But otherwise, you're the professionals. You take it from here."
Thank you.
And he kind of waddles on off. There's one of the other deckhands is there kind of mending one of the nets. You see that it's kind of shorn through as if something kind of heavy and sharp bit through it. What do the two of you want to do here?
I get altogether too close to the body.
Against that on account of, it's not just stationary corpses that hang out in the necropolis.
That's true. How quickly do you caution against that? Because I'm probably already
Probably not quick enough. Not quick enough. Go for it. Yeah.
I'm going.
Go.
I'm gonna go check out. I have a. Oh no, I can't do that yet. Never mind.
You need more verve.
I need more verve.
That's how it goes.
We have
Yeah.
no verve. Oh, you have one verve.
I have one verve, so I could do a thing, but but not really. Unless this, what is an interview? I guess that would
We
be
could
So-
like
interview
what
him.
we
Can
were
we
doing.
interview the corpse?
Yeah, so before you were just kind of more informally chatting, he was explaining what had happened so far. But if you want to kind of formally interview him and like gather more details, you might be able to get some leads that way. That'll be a role. Or you're welcome to kind of survey this area for physical clues. You can look over the body, you can look over the nets, you can look over kind of anything around here. There's also the options to infiltrate or interrogate, but neither of those I think fit terribly well to the situation, right?
Mhm.
I've
I
got
think
partner boost on interview or interrogate.
Ooh. I think since I'm already going out to check out the body, probably looking around for physical clues, trying to figure out what exactly, like how this net was cut, and like what his clothes can tell me about where he came from, maybe that sort of thing.
Fair enough. All right, then let's go ahead and call this an investigation. We're going to do a case roll. It's our first roll of the game.
Okay.
So once you've decided on your approach and provided a description, you're then going to make a case roll. To make a case roll, the player rolls using 3 6-sided dice and adds together the score of any 2 dice to get their total. There are certain districts where you're restricted to the lower 2 and stuff like that, but in this case, yeah, go ahead and roll 3. I would assume you want the top 2, but you're welcome to choose any 2 of the 3.
Good to know. I can get
Yeah.
whatever score the 3 dice give me.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right.
Great start.
That would be a 5 on the dice.
Beautiful. Well, a 5 in the case of a case roll is just slow going. 5 to 6, you are going to gain 1 progress, but you are going to gain 3 time. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that.
I forgot about progress and
Uh,
time. I made a little
Time.
bit for fatigue and verb, but I forgot about
Yep.
progress
Uh,
and
That's right.
time.
The GM does progress in time.
That's right. I
Oh,
would
do
love
you?
it if you all. Well, please don't fail to take notes on my account. I am merely a quite fallible human. I will do my best to keep a solid record, but if we have multiple, that will certainly, hopefully, ensure a better accuracy as the game progresses. I will say briefly for our audience that progress is how the detectives move incrementally towards the immediate goal. In the case of a full game, this would probably be either a chase or conflict at the end of this phase, but since of course we're going to be going straight to the big whack-a-mole there at the end, this will be towards our final encounter progress. And the time, if they accrue too much time lost in the course of their investigation, then the enemy is just going to have a bit of a better position when it comes to that final encounter. So be wary of that. So for now, you do make a little bit of progress. You do lose a little bit of time. You're searching along the docks for longer than you'd like, kind of digging through some of the boxes. You're poking around looking for marks on the docks themselves. You look at the nets, and I think what you do learn from this is you kind of find what maybe all that heaviness was about. And you find this somewhat by accident. As you're scanning along the dock, you don't see anything at first, but there in kind of the path where they had dragged this body up out of the river, you stumble across something quite literally. Your foot catches on something that your naked eye does not initially see.
Mm.
This, of course, you being a member of the Arcane Crimes Division, draws your attention. And you look down closer and you notice, much like your own magical appearance change, which you, if you have the right eye for it, can see a little bit of that signature miasma, a little bit of that mirage around you. In a very similar way, looking down around your feet, you can almost put your foot under something and that bit of your foot, it disappears. And you can see a little bit of that shimmer, that telltale shimmer of magic beneath your feet. And you reach down and you can feel the shape of something that is cold and metal and hidden. You can feel it in your touch, but you cannot quite see it with your eyes, at least not for a single progress point. What do you do with this?
Can I pick it up?
You can, but it's heavy. Not,
That's fine.
you're a dragon. You're quite strong. You can certainly pick it up, but you do note that this is probably just as heavy as the rest of that body.
Can I get a shape of it?
Yeah, so like you kind of feel along it. It feels like there's some sort of main, almost a body to it. That's maybe size of a loaf of bread, but thinner. And then there's kind of some spindly, sharper bits, 6 or 8 of those kind of poking out from it. And there's also like kind of a gaping hole that you can feel, like, and inside you feel stuff that's like kind of crackly to the touch, smaller bits and pieces of metal. It's tough to tell without, being able to see it for yourself.
Okay. That
Mm.
sounds like some sort of technology, probably, if there's crackly bits of metal inside. Either that or this is a very weird party cannon. Um, let's nail this down because I will count. 6 or 8 legs.
Oh, let's call it 8 legs.
8 legs. Okay.
We'll say it's spider-like.
Spider-like, spider-esque. Okay. I will bring that. This was in the water or on the dock or in a
So
boat.
this was on the dock. It apparently was like drug up when the person was drug up. It may
Okay.
have even like once been with the body in some way and come
Okay.
off as they drugged it out of the water.
I will either direct Officer Bell's attention to it or bring it over to Officer Bell, whichever is easier.
Yeah, you can
Uh,
bring it over. You're strong.
and I'll hold it out and be like, "Look, what do you think?"
Look at the empty space between your hands.
Sorry, feel.
Now, officer, you are you in a past life were a spell runner, of course. You have encountered magical devices like this before. I would say you'd be welcome to investigate this in a more magical manner if you are interested.
Yes, I have lots of skills that are thematically appropriate, like illusions and stuff like that. So feels like this is in my wheelhouse, even though I don't have a specific skill. The skills are very high level and generalized. Oh, I got a 12.
Oh, I love that for us.
That's great.
So that's
We needed
3
a win.
progress, 1 time, and 1 verve.
Awesome.
So now
Very
I have a
nice.
verve.
Brings us up to 4 progress.
That is
And,
so great.
4 time. You can track your own verve. Sweet. I think then you are going to de-glamour this. What does that look like for you?
Some really quite garish pink and purple sparkles. It's very hard to be taken seriously as somebody who investigates deep, dark, serious crime when all your magic is pink and purple sparkles. But that is something I have to deal with. So lots of purple sparkles and a hint of green, and we have unglamoured it, and we see something with 8 legs.
Yes, you certainly do. What you see, for all intents and purposes, is like a large brass spider, the body of which is maybe perhaps the size of your own head. Again, quite flatter. It's maybe only about this thick, about that. And it's got these 8 spindly legs with sharp little bits on the end, which even though it hasn't been, it was found detached from this corpse. You can see that the tips of it are still stained, like the brass is stained with a dark reddish discoloration. You, given your experience, might assume perhaps blood.
I'll taste it to make sure.
Yeah, you sure will. Yeah, you lick it. It's blood. It's definitely blood.
Can I tell what kind?
How much blood do you consume?
I mean, I'm mostly
Officer
a rock
Greenstone?
girl, honestly.
Yeah.
I only go for blood when like necessary.
I mean, I think you can taste the iron in the blood more than anything, right?
Mm.
So taste a bit metallic, partly because you're licking metal, right? But I think you can tell that this was once, based on the fact of trajectory, it was drug out of the water, there's the body here, that it might have once been attached to this poor sap here on the dock. And for 3 progress, I'm gonna also extend that to you, maybe taking a closer look at the body as well. Do you think, Officer? Which of the 2 of you would take a closer look? Do you think?
I'm not going to let the dragon look at the body. That's
Not after I offered to lick the blood.
Yeah,
so some people are really great at precision work, and some people are really great at toppling buildings, and very rarely is a person great at both of them.
Fair. Well, Officer Bell, you take a closer look. You inspect the body found here, and it was once, you believe, a human male. The pallor of the body retains much of its original color, if a bit paler. But notably, the veins cannot really be seen at all through the skin. The canines in the mouth are also tucked behind the lips, but they're unmistakably longer and sharper than normal. You go to prick the hand with a knife, and no blood is drawn from it. This immediately
So
leads you to
it's
believe
not
that this
his
is
blood.
well, it leads you to believe that this is a ghoul, which is a mindless, starving, undead shell. This is what happens when something is emptied of all its blood by a vampire and reanimated without following the appropriate steps for creating a fledgling vampire. This is kind of a halfway state.
Facehuggers are not normally involved, are they?
Well, actually, from also inspecting the body, you notice that while the body appeared very well dressed from the front, when you kind of leaned it forward to take a closer look, you looked around the neck to look for any telltale signs, poke marks from a vampire. You didn't see any of that. However, the back of its shirt was like ripped clean open, and you see the punctures in the side of the back where this, presumably, this spider-like device was once mounted.
Okay. And is there like wiring or something inside the spider's body? Is that?
Yeah. So inside, yes, through the open hole in the side of this metal spider, you see actually a series of gears. Some of them enmeshed, some of them not. Some of them just kind of loose and rattling in there. And also at the core of it, a very faintly glowing crystal pulsing with some kind of bluish purple magic.
I'm getting that out of there if I can.
Yeah. I mean, this is evidence. Is Officer Greenstone going to tamper with evidence?
Is it tampering if I am taking it apart in order to understand it better?
Yes, because you are not going to learn anything doing it out here, dropping pieces through the cracks in the wharf into the river and eating the power source.
That's a good point.
It does look tasty, though.
But
I do not want to be a beat cop forever.
Just so everybody knows, dibs.
Understood.
Well, one thing that maybe is helpful for you from this, Officer Bell, in the same way that Officer Greenstone has a friend, a confidant here in this part of the city with Moby, you also know someone who's quite knowledgeable about vampire goings on in the city. Over in the necropolis, you have, I have their name here somewhere. I think it's Aolani.
Aolani, yes.
Aolani.
Crimson Court vampire.
A Crimson Court vampire, resident of the necropolis. The Crimson Court stands at the top of vampires in this city. There are some rogue factions, but for the most part, the court holds nigh unanimous control over the vampire population. And they understand intimately that vampires can only survive so long as there are people to drink from, and that is far easier when you have a willing relationship, a cohabitation of sorts. And so the Crimson Court vampires are often very well aligned with the city's law enforcement, with the charter itself, and also generally try to steer clear of the criminal element in the city. Now, obviously, not all do that. You find several Crimson Court vampires in the Arcane Crimes Division as well, because chasing down rogue elements of the vampire faction is important to preserving their way of life here in the city. So Aolani is one of those Crimson Court vampires, not one associated with the Arcane Crimes Division, but one who's associated with the Crimson Court. And they can be found in the necropolis should you wish to, inquire further if they know anything about what's going on with this.
Yes. Yes, I think that's a very good idea. I think we should start by effectively and by the book packaging up the body and passing it along to the next appropriate professional. And because we are not medical examiners. And yeah, because we've got a beeper, we've got a magic beeper and a magic
We do
key,
have a
so
magic
we
beeper.
can open a door back to the charter hall anytime we like.
Sure.
And yeah, so after the scene is tidied away and everybody has been passed on to professionals who can do something about it instead of just eating the evidence. Yes, would you like to accompany me to the necropolis?
I would love to. Should we take the big brass spider thing with us to say, hey, what is this?
I'm kind of torn because on the one hand, they might steal it. On the other hand, they can't tell us anything about it unless they have it. Okay, let's take it.
Either that or we, like, get some pictures of it, if that's a thing that we could do.
No, let's take it. Let's take it.
Okay. I just, like, sling it over my shoulder. It is
Could we get a
probably
box?
at least
get a
half
box?
my size.
Half your humanoid size.
Well, sure.
So yes, across the bridge.
The two of you follow your merry way around the river and head down to the Bridge of Thorns in order to cross over into the necropolis.
And that's
Now-
one of my special areas, so I get another verve.
Why is it called the Bridge of Thorns?
Well, it's an ancient bridge covered in roses, and it's
Oh.
operated primarily by the Mourners, a faction here in the necropolis. So when it's a big bridge and it's covered in all these growing roses, but like all these growing rose bushes with all these thorns, some names stick around.
Okay. They could call it the Bridge of Roses.
But they don't.
But it's all about that ambiance, They have a
Maybe
certain
they
aesthetic here in the
do multiple
necropolis, and I think Bridge of Thorns fits that aesthetic a little bit more.
I'm just saying they're choosing to be edgelords.
It's true.
That's all.
Yes. Yes, they are.
So the two
Set
of you
up
head
with
over that way. Yeah. Let's leave the two of you there on your way to go and visit with Detective Bell's friend, and let's pick up with Ribrup and Detective Duskwing, or should I say Beat Cops, as the two of you, all four of you are temporarily demoted, but we'll call you detectives for my convenience. So I don't forget.
We got demoted to beat cop work. They got an actual case, just a stupid little case.
That's fair.
Petty little case.
I think perhaps the original intention was that they were going to be, beat cops operating in that part of the city, and then, of course, a case rolled in. A small claim, though it might be. The two of you, Officers Duskwing and Ribrup, you head over to a different region of the city. You cross over the Unity Bridge from the center of the city from 3 points over into Midtown. On the way from the Unity Bridge, which is this towering suspension bridge, allowing access between the two major parts of the city, you go through the Plaza of Patriots, part of the city, this shops surrounded by a plaza lined with grand statues. You walk by City Hall, extensive offices of the mayor, city officials. It's beneath a grand clock tower. And just north of that, you find the Industry Spire. This is the tallest tower in the city. It houses the Guild Council. All work in the city happens under the Guild Council's umbrella. And the Guild Council itself, based here in the Industry Spire, has a lot of different kinds of work that happens inside of it. There's all manner, of course, of paperwork managing the various operations in the city. There's all manner of paperwork, yet again, dealing with the Senate, dealing with City Hall, getting all of the proper permits and paperwork together to carry out the various goals of the Guild Council. And there's also smaller sections devoted to various artisans within the guild. You have various inventors, you have craftsmen of varying kinds. It's really a real hodgepodge in this tall, towering structure climbing up towards the sky. I think as the two of you approach, and look upwards, it's tough to see the top of it from here. It's almost like progress itself continues up endlessly into the heavens.
Well, as we come into Midtown, I feel very comfortable because back when I was an assassin for hire, this was where I tracked a lot of my targets, corrupt politicians, corrupt business people who deserved to die. So so I get a verve.
Excellent.
Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, I'm very comfortable here. I know my way around the guild hall. I've
think it's
incorporated it in the past.
safe to say you've probably been in the industry spire before. You've perhaps had targets related to the guild council in the past.
Yes, usually quite senior people in the guild council. I didn't used to bother with juniors most of the time. But, yeah.
Ribrup, you took note on your way to the industry spire and the Plaza of Patriots, which is surrounded by these grand statues, that some of those looked suspiciously like siege automatons like yourself, frozen in place.
Do I recognize any of them?
I think you do. I think you. Well, here's a question for Ribrup. How much of like your previous life of combat do you remember back during the war?
Probably not too much, because it would have happened before Rib became a sculptor and then became a police detective.
Yeah. And there was some repair that happened in there. Some of your memory banks are not quite what they once were. But something about that statue looks oddly familiar, you note. And beyond that, though, as you're going through this part of the city, going through Midtown, you don't really notice many other automaton like yourself. There's all sorts of other, fleshy races here, but very few others like yourself. When the two of you enter the industry spire, it's through these grand glass doors. You step onto marble floors. You see towering granite limestone pillars going up. It's a very, very ostentatious entrance to this building. It wants you to feel small. And when the two of you enter, they're at a central table looking up from a phone and a sheaf of documents. They kind of squint at you. Did either of you put on a common uniform for the Arcane Crimes Division, or are the two of you still in plain clothes?
I think I'm in plain
Naked.
clothes, but with a cap, like a.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm still
Hey.
wearing my cloak
Yeah.
and
The
my
attendant here at the desk kind of like raises an eyebrow, takes note of your hat.
I show my badge. Officer Duskwing.
Yes, of course. And they look through.
You're expecting us?
Yes. You were called here because of an incident on the 10th level. Let me get you your card. And they pull
Can
off.
you give us some details of the incident? We're told we're investigating a theft, but we're not entirely sure yet what has been stolen from whom.
Oh, frankly, I'm not so sure either. I didn't see the assailant. I merely take the notes here. Perhaps you can go and speak with the gentleman himself who encountered the brigand this morning. Let me get you. Yes. Here is your key card. You can take the elevator if you're feeling inclined. There are the stairs, but it's a rough hike up to the 10th floor. Here's your room number. You're looking for 1017. You'll be asking for, and they inspect their note. You'll be asking for a small fellow, goes by the name of a Sprocket. You're seeing Sprocket today.
Okay. So what do I know about the 10th floor? What kind of things happen on the 10th floor?
Yeah, so the 10th floor is one of those more artisan-oriented ones. It's got a variety of separate lab and workshop spaces for various craftspeople to ply their craft. Now, of course, if you have a workspace here in this building, you must be of some renown in order to access this kind of an office.
Yep. Okay. Right. I think we'll take the elevator. We'll wait for one where we can be on our own. And I will say to Ribrup once we're on our own in the elevator, I could. You stand out a bit around here. I could disguise you as a cleaning robot because people don't notice cleaning robots, and then you could infiltrate while I'm interviewing the victim. And that would be a boost. We would have to kind of pause the lift. It would take a time, but it would give you 2 verve going forward if you would like to do that.
Affirmative. Please attach the cleaning equipment.
Okay. Mhm.
I like this. This is very
Yep.
good.
So we'll hop off the lift somewhere where I know there is a cleaning cupboard.
Yeah.
Yep. And we will go and we will spend a little bit of time disguising Ribrup with a
Pitch a
bucket.
plunger on the front.
Yeah. Yep. Just making them look like, completely invisible. And
Yes.
then when we go in, they will just kind of follow me and potter around, doing their job while I am talking to Sprocket.
The two of you go to the 3rd floor. You arrange Ribrup as you suggested, and then the two of you continue upwards. I think as you leave on the 10th floor, leaving the elevator, Ribrup, you begin going about cleaning the place, keeping your ears, your sensors open, your observation sensors open, both for sounds and sights that are curious.
And remember, you're taking the notes.
Affirmative. I also want it noted that I did not destroy this elevator.
Well
done.
Officer Duskwing, you see room 1017, which you were told to go to. The door is like wide open. There seems to have been some kind of commotion as you can see on the ground like a trickle of oil or some kind of matter there in the doorway. In fact, it seems to trail maybe down the hall quite a ways as well. You give a gentle knock, poke your head in.
I'll take a sample of the oil into a little vial and stash it somewhere about my cloak. I have lots of pockets in my cloak.
Yeah. When you collect that, you stand back up, looking through the doorway. Their back is to you at first. They're standing on a stool, working on one of these workbenches that is honestly far too tall for them. He's perhaps 2 or 3 feet high, very shaggy hair. He's wearing a little set of overalls. This is a mole man. You've seen these before. They're not terribly common in the city. They were once an adversary of the city back during the war. There was the whole Moleman uprising. It's all water under the bridge at this point. They're now regularly, contributing members of Polarity. And as he turns to face you, having heard the door kind of creak a little bit as you collected your sample, turning around, shifting up a set of welding goggles. Well, that was, oh dear Lord!
Mr. Sprocket,
You're an assassin. You're one of those dark. I haven't done nothing of note. I've been perfectly safe, I swear.
I'm Officer Duskwing. Not Duskwing. I'm here to help you out. I believe
You're here to kill me. I know.
No, I'm not here to kill you, sir. I'm here. I'm here to just ask you a few questions about the person that did this.
He kind of looks down.
See my badge?
kind of peers over. How do I know that's not to make me drop my guard?
If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead already, sir.
This does not seem to be the comfort that you might intend. It's hard to see the kind of the color in his cheeks, what with all of the fur, but kind of you see the fur frizzle and stand on end a little bit, and he goes, oh, okay. Well then.
As far as I'm aware, you're not important enough.
Oh, that's comforting. Yeah, that's comforting. Oh,
Yes. My kind usually go for higher profile targets. Just so you know.
Okay. I'll be sure to stay out of that kind of business then. So you're here with the division?
I'm here with the division. Yes. I believe you've lost something of importance, but we have no details.
Yeah, my
So-
magical doohickey was stolen.
Your magical doohickey.
Yeah.
So what kind of doohickey is it?
Well, that's my internal name for it. It's a doohickey.
Yeah. So what does it do?
Well,
As I'm talking to, this will take one more time, but a few moths who I've briefed earlier fly off round the apartment to just investigate while I am chatting to Sprocket.
Let's go ahead. I think we're kind of initializing a interview here with you and this witness.
Yes, it's an interrogation, but I think it's a. Is it
well, I mean, he certainly feels appropriately threatened, but unless he's a suspect, I don't think this is an interrogation.
No. I think I'm investigating.
Yeah. Well, this would be an interview. Investigation is limited to kind of searching for physical clues. So this is speaking to witnesses or informants.
Okay. So shall I make a roll?
Yep. 3 dice. Pick your favorite 2.
That would be a 7.
7. Excellent. So 7, that's good progress. You're going to gain 2 progress and 2 time. Go ahead and mark that for you.
Yep. So I think that's 4 time already. 4 time, 5 time already. If we take into account my my moths that are fluttering around. Yep.
Oh, that's using one of your special moves, yeah?
Yeah, so that insect informants. I use shadow magic to mobilize spiders and insects to search for clues a person might miss.
Okay.
And I add 1d3 progress. So I think that's kind of happening in the background. And we maybe make the roll when they, as we leave, they kind of flutter back to me.
I like that. So yes, we'll have that investigation later. For now, though, so we've got 2 progress for you, 2 time. You're having this conversation. I think before we get too deep into this conversation, I want to check in with Ribrup. Ribrup, you're going around cleaning up. You see this trail of oil that goes from this room, heads towards the main stairwell. It seems to skip by the elevator. It doesn't quite stop at that point, but it does kind of become shallower as it goes on. Like the dripping is becoming less and less as time goes on. One of the other residents here on the 10th floor who's been doing some work spies you and says, "Hey, would you mind getting that spot there? Somebody made a real mess in here passing through. If you wouldn't mind just scrubbing here, and this wall's got a little bit of a mark that's been there for like 6 months. I keep telling the maintenance person about it, but they haven't taken care of it yet. And they're definitely like leaning on you to take care of other cleaning and stuff around the floor. I'll give you an option here. You can either do some kind of investigation as you're doing the cleaning, kind of like surveying the grounds, or you could do a interview and just as people are talking to you absentmindedly, you could gather some information from that. Or I guess you're currently infiltrating, aren't you? Well, then let's just roll this as infiltration. Yeah, because you already got a boost for that. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, cleaners, people do say things to
Oh,
cleaners.
absolutely. Yeah.
They leave things around that they might hide from a cop.
Yeah. So in which case, let's go ahead and get your case roll as well, so I can know the total progress so far, and we'll dole out.
So what am I rolling?
answers
Just
then.
2 or 3?
You're gonna roll 3 dice. Pick your favorite 2.
3
Total.
total.
Oof. Well, didn't you get a boost from the?
Yep.
Infiltration. What does that give me?
What was the boost was?
Or is that just verve?
That was just verve.
Okay. In which case, yeah, that's gonna be a
verve.
3.
So you've
that's
got verve to play with.
That is, however, a dead end on the infiltration for now. You're gonna gain 1 die 6 time. Roll that for me, would you? But no progress.
1d6 or 1d3 time. Which one?
Oh, 1d6. For time.
1d6. 6.
Excellent. You are going to be cleaning here for a while.
Laser precision. I'll get out my little laser beam
Yeah,
and
I think
scorch
you're
away the marks. With
Yeah,
more
I think
marks.
I think you're overachieving. You get too focused on your task and forget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rip gets into it. Like,
Yeah.
deep
it's-
in the
it's-
past, they were supposed to, clean the fields of enemies, and now they're cleaning this room because they got the tools for it.
yeah, and it's cleaning's kind of nice because you can see where you've been. You
Mhm.
know.
Rub can always see where they have been
So
as long as the ocular devices are activated.
well, wonderful. So there's of course those 2 spots there, and actually, like, things have been kind of piling up here in the shop. Would you mind helping me out? Got to move some of those things. I haven't cleaned those cobwebs up at all. I've been in this
Rub.
place for 3 years.
Ribrub has some questions. Ribrub would like to know what the nature of emotions is.
Well, I was talking to my hairdresser the other day, and like they kind of like throw their arm around you and like walk you into the room as they tell you about their life, and you work on cleaning up their workspace. Picking
Up
back up
is
with
making
Officer.
friends.
I mean, Ribrup's getting into the role. That's what's going on here. Officer Duskwing, you ask kind of what happened, right? From Sprocket.
Yeah, and also why someone would want to take the doohickey.
Yeah, and he's full of consternation. He's like, well, I don't know why anybody would want this particular one. I use it to regulate the output of this this doohickey with this doomahickey, and the doohickey goes in the middle, and it kind of is a channel that serves as a conduit. And he goes into like honestly too much detail for how this works, but none of it like makes fundamentally any sense. He's got
Something that
all
works
kinds of
different.
paraphernalia spread out across his desk.
Yeah. So it's something that works with some other things to do something, and on its
Yeah,
own.
it's kind of a central component. Well, so here I wasn't working on the doohickey at the time. I was over here on the domahickey, and I was poking around inside of its guts, and out of nowhere, I hear the door open. It happens all the time. I don't work here alone. There's other people here on the floor. I didn't pay any mind, and then I heard a clattering next to me, and there was this autonomous assailant, clad in metal, grabbing hold of my doohickey, and they bolted out of the room on their own 2 feet.
How big was this assailant?
Oh, and he kind of gestures like huge, but like he gestures with his arms, and from his perspective, quite large. From your perspective, really no bigger than yourself.
So not as big as Ribrub.
No, not nearly as big as Ribrup.
Yeah.
I'll say that they were fine make. The joint work on that was incredible. I caught a glimpse of it only for a moment as they clattered through my shop, spilling oil everywhere, and trounced out the door.
So it was a fine make, but they were damaged.
Well, they sure damaged my shop.
But the fact that they were spilling oil, or do you think that that was just
Well, that could have been they disconnected it in a hurry from the doohickey,
well,
the
that could have been the
doohickey.
doohickey?
Yeah,
Okay. So what does this doohickey look like? What are we looking for?
like roundish, and it's got kind of tubes that come out of it. It looks a little bit like this, and he points at a rough sketch on a napkin, and it looks like a sort of round ball with little tubes poking out of it.
Tubes?
Oh, I think in this case, it's a very rough drawing. Tough to say.
I'm going to ask how many tubes.
Oh, well, there's a coolant line that goes in here. There's the flux here that passes through the chamber. It's like maybe 4.
So it's kind of joins onto something else,
Mhm.
and then so something flows through it, or
Eh,
power flows out of it.
I mean, we can talk about the whole apparatus, but I would much rather you catch the fella who took it.
Okay. You've never seen them before?
Certainly not. Now, I would love to talk to whoever worked on some of that armature. It was just fabulous. The welds were phenomenal.
Could it be some of your competition? Do you have any competition that might be doing industrial espionage, or
Yeah. I mean, this is Polarity, of course.
any names?
Not particularly.
No.
But here,
Did they leave anything else beside the oil? I've taken a sample of the oil.
um, they took something. They didn't leave some. Here, I can recognize them out of a lineup. I can go with you. We can find this person. I mean, they've left a trail behind them. Why don't we just kind of hoof it?
Yep. Okay. Let's go. I just need to pick someone up as we leave. So I wander out into the corridor. I realize that Rup is no longer in the corridor. Can I hear anything? Usually you can hear Rup working.
Yeah, you hear a series of whirring and kind of a loud conversation. Yeah, and so that's the last time my sister and I ever talked, really. And the two of them are working in one of those other adjacent rooms.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can pick up Rup to come with me and go in pursuit of the assailant.
Do you willingly leave your infiltration to go and
Or are
follow?
you just too busy?
I have been learning all about timing and cheating husbands that leave their sisters, or rather this person's sister, for their cook slash chef slash nanny slash uncle's brother. I am not entirely sure on the relationships of this extended family. Does not compute.
That sounds very interesting. Maybe when you have some time recharging, you could see if you can figure it out.
Analyze this further when charging in my cupboard.
Exactly. But in the meantime, I'd really like your help to track somebody down.
Is this witness accompanying us?
Yes. You might be able to give them a ride.
With quite an
Affirmative.
opposite response. When you say are they going to accompany us? Sprocket stares up in awe at Ribrup. Oh my.
This is my friend, Officer Ribrup, my partner. We will they've just been doing some cleaning around the place, but we will maybe leave the cleaning gear here for your new friend, and let's get going.
Like to keep the apron.
Okay.
You cape the apron, and as you're on your way, Sprocket's like,
the mole man up.
The aprons, woohoo, yeah, sure. Oh, the apron's a great idea. I mean, given that you're naked and all.
Lack of clothes does not usually pose a problem, as I do not have human genitalia.
Usually
Fair
people
point.
aren't offended by Officer Abrupt's nudity.
Although I do have an attachment that I am not allowed to use unless I am on my own with another consenting person.
To know.
It's the fax machine. The three of you continue down the hallway, following this trail of oil. It goes down the main stairs. I think around this time, Officer Duskwing, is when your moths return to you. They've kind of fanned out and checked through the floor, and also the floors directly below. Let's give you an investigation case roll.
Yeah, I will. That is a 9.
9, excellent. That's going to be 2 progress, 2 time. I'll jot those down. And then you get to roll a d3 of additional progress, yeah?
Yep. That's a 5, so that's a 3.
3.
Yep.
Awesome. So that puts you up to 7 progress. You all are doing great. So
apart from the enormous amount of time it took to find out about the sisters.
Rip is learning about human experience, which is valuable in its own way.
It takes time.
Yeah, for sure. The extra detail I'm going to give you from this is when your moths return to you, they give you kind of a... They can communicate with you with the way their small antenna move, the sort of chirping that they can make, the quiet noises. And with this, they kind of whisper this information to you, or directly communicate it to you anyway. The trail of oil, and you kind of follow this as you go as well, but it seems to kind of be sprinkled between the different levels. You chart from the moth's description kind of a rough path that this assailant must have taken. Notably, there's a staff staircase at the back of the building that is a straight shot down to the bottom. It's not like the main staircase, which kind of is at different points among the different floors based on their layouts. But this person seems to have taken the main staircase and been actually seen by a lot of folks, almost like making a show of running through the building. There were tons of people who had clearly taken note, were in a hubbub talking about somebody who had rushed through there, merely a half hour earlier that day. You all came over quite quickly from the center of the city. And the trail seems to run cold just below the main level. There's kind of the first subterranean level, full of various maintenance tunnels and such for the building, as well as lots of load-bearing bits and bobs that anchor this extremely tall spire here in its location in Midtown. I think we'll leave the three of you headed down the stairs, chaining between the different floors on your way to that subterranean level, and we'll pick back up with the other two over in the necropolis. But for now, we're going to get back to the game. Emma will be joining us here shortly. She has to stay away for just a little bit longer, but she is listening in to the game. So rather than picking up the scene over in the necropolis, instead we're going to keep with our group in Midtown, over in the Industry Spire. So, Officer Ribrup, Officer Duskwing, the two of you head down the stairs to the next level. You follow the trail, go to the next staircase, down to the next level. It's kind of a zigzagging pattern through the building that this assailant seemed to have taken as they ran off with the doohickey and absconded with it, absconded away. The three of you arrive back down on the main level, and when you take this last staircase, this one is like a little bit less obvious. This is actually, the assailant seems to have returned to that staff stairwell that actually runs the full gamut of the building. It makes you wonder why they didn't just start there to begin with. But they went through that staff staircase down into this access level below. This is a series of interconnected hallways of concrete, exposed pipework, some various magical charms here and there, preserving the, building against moisture, protecting against the elements, termites, etc. As you're following this path of this oil, it does eventually kind of run out. There's no more sign of it. You're left in almost the middle of this otherwise cavernous concrete room. There's, one of the main heating gas heater for the building is over in the corner making a terrible racket. You've got whistling water pipes here to your sides. There's various dials and knobs, electrical panel on the far side. And otherwise, all that's in this room is like a large metal grate in the middle of the floor. What do the three of you do? Three of you here, including our lovely moleman who is riding atop Rubrup's shoulders and inspecting the joint work in your very well-crafted metal pauldrons.
I'm going to go take a look at the grate and see whether it's been lifted recently.
Yeah, you go over to the grate, you inspect around the edges of it, and you do notice that some of the concrete there around the lip is like chipped slightly, and there's actually the little dust, the detritus from that action that's lingering there by the side.
You're stronger than me. Do you think you can lift this out carefully?
Too late.
Yep, I will.
Clink, 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 clink.
Yeah, you chuck it. It clatters against one of the concrete walls. It takes like a little chunk out of it, not enough to really injure it or anything, but enough that a maintenance person might notice that mark in the future. Not quite enough, I think, to count for collateral damage yet.
Regular wear and tear.
Cool. Peer down into the darkness, I guess.
Yeah. Our Mulman accompaniment, Racket. It's Sprocket. Sprocket peers over Ribrup's shoulder down into the darkness. He's got he lifts his furry eyebrows and you can see these beady little eyes. Oops all pupil. He's sees in that darkness very, very well as he peers down and says, "Oh yeah. No, I've been not through these tunnels specifically, but there's all manner of labyrinth under the city here. It all kind of connects up. There's the sewer network, of course, but there's stuff that predates it, going back into the real ancient times, back when the enemy was strong in these lands."
Yeah, I've used some of these tunnels myself. Okay, I'm going to retrieve the grate and pull it so that we can pull it back over ourselves. And so that we don't leave damage.
For Ribrup, how are you with ladders?
I assume I can use my random arm attachments to kind of just...
Yep.
Also, I probably have a flashlight attachment, so that'll solve the darkness problem.
Well, I'm a dark elf.
Yeah.
No darkness
okay.
problem.
Then I'll turn on the little red eyes, though. Not because I've gone evil, but night vision.
Yep.
I think along the way, this ladder is.
I'll reassure Sprocket. Ribrup's just seeing in the dark.
Oh, it's all right. I taps him on the head. I don't think this one here, would hurt a fly unless that fly was, flying on by and it smacked it with a swatter. I suppose it could hurt a fly thinking about it that light, but.
Yeah, I think Ribrup has hurt more than just flies. Okay, down you go.
The three of you begin to descend.
Yep.
And I think along the way,
pull the grate totally back over the top so that we don't leave any damage.
No sign. We see the empty, now silent room. Well, silent save for the humming of the various machinery as the three of you descend. I think the entire way down, and it is a very long ladder, Sprocket is kind of peppering Ribrup with questions, like, Oh, so did you fight in the war? How would you think about that experience? Oh, what led you coming back to the city? How'd you end up working for the Arcane Crimes Division of all groups? Feel about people? Like, do you think that they should all die or what? And he's just asking you, I think, totally normal questions you might ask of a a war bot. This siege automaton on the way down. Can you give us like a quick spattering of?
Especially one that was on the same side as you.
Yeah. What are some of Rubber's responses as you go down? Just give us a quick spattering of that conversation.
Does not experience feelings in the ways that humans do. Rub has pre-programmed responses in terms of certain situations. One of them includes changing the eyebrows to the angry eyebrow movement. Rub does not remember their time as a war robot, but does remember a lot of time as a sculptor before joining the Arcane Crimes Division.
So you kind of went from art to the opposite. Is that what would they like the opposite of that? I guess
was created for war, then became art, and now is a protector for peace.
There is some art in what we do, or some artistry. There's room for personal expression.
While riding on Ribrup and pestering them with questions, I think Sprocket has to some degree had pushed out of mind that Officer Duskwing was here, and so when you pipe up, shivers a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure there is an art to what you do. Yep. Well, we're almost into the bottom, and as he says that, you hear a clink, 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 and you feel your wheel connect with the ground. Ribrup, Officer Duskwing, you float gently down, your feet alighting upon the concrete with nary clatter. The three of you.
A little splash, or is it dry down here?
Oh, it's dry down here. You are looking down a cobble hallway. The stone here is like a crafted sandstone. It is engraved with a variety of reliefs, most of them depicting people in varying states of, I'll say, of discomfort. These are some kind of terrible imagery, iconography scoured upon these walls, and you do see periodically openings recessed into the stone walls that have been stacked with a collection of skeletons.
Yeah, I think there are probably ideas here for me if I came back later.
Definitely. Specifically, I think since Officer Duskwing, you have spent some time, you mentioned earlier, traveling through some of the city's underside, we'll call it. You would be aware, looking at the patterns on some of these walls, the figures, the faces contorted in varying amounts of pain, of suffering, and then these, of course, bones interred here, as this is some kind of catacomb as well. I think you identify one of these symbols as relating to the Crypt of Lost Hope, which is a labyrinth that extends beneath the city. It's known to be rather innavigable, as rumors have it at least, that it regularly changes form, and it makes it rather difficult to find one's path, chart a path through it.
Is there any dust or anything on the floor that's been disturbed, given that?
Oh, I like that question. That's a good one.
Like, can we see the path of someone?
I think in order to pick up the trail, which has kind of gone cold down here, I think this is going to be another kind of investigation. I think in this case, either investigation looking for physical signs, or maybe in speaking more with Sprocket, there might be some detail he could give you, some kind of critical information that might help. Either an interview or interrogation, I think, or interview or investigation would be good here.
I might try an investigation because I feel like, I'm in my element here. This is probably
I can assist But only if I deconstruct physical obstacles.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there certainly are physical obstacles down here. As the
Yeah, okay.
the three of you wander about, like we can definitely integrate that into the narrative.
Well, that's an 11.
Ooh, 11's quite well.
So I think maybe we do find where the person has gone, but it's like through some kind of small gap, or
Yeah.
like away from the main.
So with
Person,
an
the
11,
robot.
that gives you an additional 3 progress plus
Maybe
1
they've
time. So
maybe they've blocked something off behind them, trying to make it invisible, but actually, because I know how this kind of place should look, I'm like, oh, somebody's stacked these skeletons here,
mhm.
like restacked these skeletons behind them.
Oh, I love that actually. Yeah, you come to a particular part of the wall where the skeletons have clearly been removed and restacked. And you can actually tell that not just from the visual details that they're a little bit more disheveled, not quite as orderly as ones that are properly interred and laid to rest here. But because their eternal rest has been disturbed, some of the skeletons are like mumbling to each other, like, "Oh, get your elbow out of me! What are you doing? You're supposed to be sitting on top of Jeff! No, 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 no!" And they're like just chattering amongst themselves, and like kind of not quite shifting, but like there's a little bit of vibration in the stack as it's trying to find its new normal
Yeah,
here deep within the earth.
Ribrup, can you very gently, so that you don't upset these good people again, just shift them to one side so that we can get through this gap?
Was not aware that they had upset them in the first place in order to not upset them again.
No, it wasn't us that upset them. You're good at the moment. You haven't upset them. Whoever came through here before upset them. So very gently, be kinder than the other people. Move them out of the way.
How on a scale from 1 to 10, how gentle is Ribrup's action? Okay. You place your scooping arms beneath the stack of bones, and with a hefty over-shoulder throw, you heave-ho the clattering pile of bones into the hallway, and immediately there is a cacophony of both bones clattering and also skeleton jaws clacking together as all manner of complaints and insults are hurled towards you. But in front of you, the two of you do see there's not just a crack. You can tell that these walls are several feet thick, but here, hidden behind this stack of bones, there's almost that whole section is carved away, and you can see there's a very narrow, small tunnel that's been almost hand chiseled, as compared to the rest of this, which seemed very magically cut, very ordered, very unnatural. This seems to have been almost hastily or with poor improper tools dug through this to whatever lies beyond. It is an opening that is big enough for the three of you to pass through if you do single file. Yeah.
Would one be able to argue that that was me giving a partner boost by deconstructing physical obstacles?
Absolutely.
Okay, so collateral damage +1.
Fair enough.
And to my partner, I give 2 verve.
Excellent. I'm sure that will come in handy.
That's
Yep.
why I.
Yeah.
You gotta
Well,
break a few eggs.
I was asking you. I was asking you
For
to
a
give you the
female.
opportunity to boost me.
But the three of you now do have a passage in front of you. What order do you traverse? I will actually say that I think that Sprocket goes first because he, being a moleman, is very comfortable here underground, sees a tunnel, needs to go through the tunnel. So he kind of hops off of Ribrup's shoulder and immediately starts pittering his way in.
I think I will get ahead of Ribrup just to manage any further situation if I can.
Fair enough, fair enough.
I'm,
Aware that Ribrup is the problem.
Yes. It's you. You're the problem.
Hi.
The two of you continue through after Sprocket, and arriving on the other side, you see to your left and to your right two massive gears. I'm talking 4 or 5 times your size in diameter, nearly as thick, clearly solid cast metal. These things would weigh, tens of tons. You see them that they're enmeshed with a similar gear system along the wall itself, and they're moving ever so slowly. And you can see that actually the set of tunnels that you just came from that are connected to that wall are actively shifting just a little bit, millimeter by millimeter behind you. It's only because this process is so gentle, the slot between these gears so minute, that you didn't even feel the movement of the tunnel around you as this whole complex is slowly rearranging itself. But you find yourself not inside of the Crypt of Lost Hope itself, but rather in the guts of it, in the interior mechanisms.
Amazing.
Probably a place that I don't imagine either of you have ever seen before, or for that matter, hardly anyone in the city. You're on a platform, scaffolding of sorts, that runs between these two gears. It seems to have been erected here somewhat hastily, and it's a series of wooden planks at increasingly odd angles, stretching off around this gear and through to whatever lies beyond.
It's this way. I say with confidence.
Yeah, and with the progress that you got from your investigation, I think you specifically, just briefly here on the wood where it's had a chance to soak in, you see once more that kind of trail of oil leading off. And in addition to that, you see impressions in the wood of something heavy that had moved along here quite quickly, heading in the opposite direction. You actually see marks of feet having tread this path going both ways many times. Feet and similar to Ribrup, you see like tire tracks as well, marks in the wood, residue left behind by other things that have taken the same path as you.
With different and more than one, because it seems like
Yes.
there's been more than one mode of transit.
Different modes of modality for sure.
There and back.
The two of you continue forwards, I presume.
Well, man. Don't forget him.
I mean, he's like gone. He has like run ahead on this scaffolding. You don't see him immediately ahead yet. The two of you carry on around this gear, heading deeper into the complex. I want to pick up with our other group before we reveal too much on this side. Let's go ahead and do that. I know Emma is still able to listen. We will pick up with our group at the Necropolis, and when Emma is able to hop back on stream and join us, she will.
Okay,
And hopefully can hit the ground running. So moving over to the Necropolis, you crossed over the Bridge of Thorns, this ancient bridge covered in rose bushes, blooming, in blood red, with long, sharp thorns that everybody takes care not to step on or step into, as various mourners and anyone who is bringing new bodies to be interred here cross this bridge into the Necropolis. You see in front of you as the two of you enter these high stone walls curving around the edge. This is almost its own very sequestered part of the city. There's, of course, all manner of things that people wish to be kept here and not really see elsewhere in the nicer parts of the city. After crossing the Bridge of Thorns, you walk along the path of the Broken and Abandoned, which is this skeletal forest haunted by spirits of the lost. You hear voices calling softly to you from the trees, but you know to ignore them and continue on your way. Passing by the Mourner's Temple, this vast complex housing records and relics of the Mourner sect, who are generally in charge here. A question to you, your friend, who is we are coming to see. Grab their name
Alani?
again. Yes, Alani, who's a Crimson Court vampire. Where are they based in the necropolis?
They're a fence, and they've got some stuff. I don't think that the Mourners cult know that he's actually occupying part of their basement. It's it's a nice big building. It's convenient to the entrance, and there's a back door that leads to some really useful research areas.
I love that. So, based out of the basement of the Mourner's Temple is your friend Alani, a Crimson Court vampire, a fence who has, been able to procure particular goods and resources for you in the city in the past, in the necropolis. The two of you arrive at this temple. You walk around to the back. You pass the bereft folks up at the front. The tears streaming down their faces, candles waving on sticks behind them, incense burning about them. And make your way to the back of the temple where it's quieter. The grass crunches softly under your feet, nearly dead despite, no heavy beating sun here. The necropolis is certainly affected by the day-night cycle, but it is muted. There is a stillness here that is not present and seems to affect not just the sort of staleness of the air, but even the way the light feels on your skin. It does not feel quite so warm. It feels just a little bit cold. As this grass crunches and you make your way to the back, there's, I think, 2 large wooden shutters that cover this rear entrance, like a cellar entrance to the temple. I think you have like a secret knock or something that you give.
I'm not going to try and make the audio work. There's a special knock. I've been using this knock with Alani for years and years when I used to work down here in the necropolis, finding goods, old ancient stuff to give to the magicians in the mage towers. So yeah, the special knock.
Yeah, you give your special knock. And normally you would expect within, 10, 15, 20 seconds, Alani would give you a reply. Sometimes, however, they are kind of deep into work and he might not respond as quickly. But you don't hear anything in response this time.
He might be with a client. I knock again, just to be polite, just in case.
Yeah, you knock again and kind of put your ear down to the door, listening inside, seeing what you can hear. And you hear a pair of voices, clearly intentionally trying to be quiet, to muffle themselves. And the sound of a third voice, kind of muffled, almost as if they're struggling.
Right. Officer, could you open the door, please?
I will do my best. I
don't know if this needs a roll. Can we just?
Oh yeah, you can just do this, but
yeah. I have moves that I could potentially use, but honestly, like if you're good with me just like punching through the door or something.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I do that.
My favorite thing about this is the door is unlocked, but it is great that we just go for it.
To be fair, I don't think Jade would check. I think she would assume that Officer Bell had checked. For the record, just so like complete transparency, I appear very suddenly to be dealing with some sort of bug of illness potentially. I don't know for sure yet, but that was why I was gone for so long. So I am here and I am doing my best to stay here and be here, but I there is a possibility that I may have to run off
Retreat
again.
How
Yeah.
dare you be a human being? How
I figured everybody would be good with that. I just wanted to explain it so that nobody worried that, like, I don't know, something had happened to me in the meantime. I was very worried I
does
wouldn't
that
be
work
able
for
to.
everyone? No.
That work?
Trying it.
How does she?
Nope, just Sero.
She's special. Yeah. So
Well, we're glad to have you back. Hopefully, you can stick around with
Yeah.
us through to the end.
thank you. I want to be here.
Jade, you take your fist and just punch down through the lock. I think we see with the camera as you do that on the inside that the latch actually had already been cut through. That this door had already been had its any way of locking it broken, and so with extra force, your fist punches through the splintered wood, and you pull up, and the doors clatter open, and inside here with the light, enough light of day behind you, you can see down into this workshop space. There's all manner of shelving with various, bits and bobs in jars floating there. There's all kinds of paraphernalia on the tables, beakers, tubes, various magical sensors, that sort of thing. There's a set of candles all burned down to varying levels, putting off kind of a acrid smoke into the air. And front and center, there is a coffin that that Aulani uses to rest during the daylight hours most of the time. But this time seems to have been disturbed as your pal Aulani is wrapped around in rope with dangling bits, whole clove of garlic that is just all about it, and is borne aloft between, on one end, a skeleton holding them by the shoulders, and on the other hand, some kind of fleshy golem, something like a zombie, but not quite, on the other end that is holding their feet. And they both turn to you, seeing this door rip open, and in shock, they drop Aulani there onto the floor, who then grunts in pain, and the two turn and attempt to flee. They run and clatter through the shop. You, however, of course, having been here before, know, Officer Bell, that there isn't another way in or out of this place. There is no window to the outside. This
It's
is
a
the entrance.
vampire's den.
This might not be up to fire code. Usually, you should have at least one other way. But this is the necropolis. Those codes are modern things, not the concern of those here. And so they scrabble around this place, this office, kind of knocking over books. You hear like a clattering as one of the beakers falls off one of the tables and shatters on the ground. Until finally, realizing the futility of their attempt to flee, the two turn around rather sheepishly. And I think the taller one is the skeleton, who kind of like leans over amicably on one of the tables. Hey there! How's it going? Normal day?
Very normal, yes. Yes, a normal day. On normal days, I ask people what they're doing, and if I don't like it, I put them in jail.
Is
That-
actually what she does on normal days.
Yep.
Me, on the other hand, on my normal days, I see people doing things like what you're doing, and maybe they don't make it to the prison all the time. And I smile real big and wide with very sharp teeth.
It just keeps going.
Ha 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 ha. Well, we're on our way out. So if you wouldn't mind.
I think maybe we should stick around for a minute.
Yeah.
Can I
Full.
can I establish this? If
Yeah.
we are about to enter into perhaps an interrogate of some sort, I have a partner boost that is give a glimpse of your true form. It has a collateral damage of 1. Could we perhaps say that that was the door?
Totally. Love that.
And I did just smile big and wide, but if we want to go back and establish that I turned my fist into like a dragon fist or something to punch through, either way. I'd like to take that off and give Officer Bell to Verve.
I mean, I
Ooh.
think we could still tie those things together. Like you shattering this with your bare hands is not a normal human feat. And then you showing that kind of curling smile extending up past your face, I think definitely counts as you revealing a hint of your true form.
Yes, well, I would like to talk to these people in very calm and understanding manner. Yeah, and not so great. Only a 6.
Okay.
Which is 1 progress and 3 time.
That's still 1 progress.
It is 1
Hey.
progress.
1 progress is 1 progress. Let's keep going. Do you put these two in? You have magical cuffs. Do you put them in cuffs before you interrogate them, or do you just kind of block the entrance and launch into your questions?
And they're gonna fight us, I think. Just questions for now.
Do we need to put the skeleton in any sort of cuffs, or would it make more sense to just take their arms for a little bit?
Or their legs.
Or their legs, or both?
Just grab the skull, stick it on a high shelf.
There you go.
Do you?
But
do
no,
you
if
opt
they're
to
not gonna
separate them, or-
fight,
Okay.
I think just talking to them.
If they're not gonna
I-
fight, they can stay in one piece.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they, having seen the display from Jade, who I think is lurking by the doorway, I think they see the futility in a fight in this moment. And so when you enter, the skeleton kind of sheepishly motions to a stool for their fleshy compatriot to have a seat. They decide to stay standing and they stick out a hand towards you amicably. Hi there. This here's Flesh and I'm Bones.
Hi, I'm Officer Bell. This is Officer
Yeah.
Greenstone.
Yeah, you'll have to excuse Flesh. They don't talk much. And Flesh kind of like blah, 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 happily next to Bones.
Good
Yeah,
to meet you, sir.
great muscle in a pinch, but not
don't-
the most loquacious.
I don't want to know what's inside the mouth, but I have to ask what's inside the mouth when he goes blah 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 blah. Is it just like
There are no teeth.
okay?
Let me be clear. Flesh is made of flesh. Bones is made of bones.
Bones is made of bones. Does flesh? Never mind. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
You do care. You're just not sure you want to know.
I don't want to know. I know that I don't want to know. Would this count as an interview? Because I could also use a verve to add +1 progress following a case roll involving an interview.
Well, I think you're welcome to conduct that maybe with Aulani once they've been,
Okay.
separated from the garlic that binds them. But
Okay.
I think this is definitely an interrogation, right?
Okay. Interrogation different than interview. I got you.
Yep.
Mhm,
Okay. Cool.
So Bones reached out their hand. I think. Do either of you go to shake it?
Oh,
or
yeah,
do you
yeah,
kind
I
of-
absolutely
okay.
shake it. Yeah.
I'll shake it.
Do you take the hand or do you just shake it?
I just shake it. I don't
Yeah.
know what Jade's doing.
I'll let you decide if I take the arm or if there's just a loud crunch.
Or if it's like a rattle.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that too. Actually, I like that.
You shake their arm and you hear a sound like maracas as their finger bones jangle and their shoulder bangs around in its socket. Oh, firm grip you got there. Woo.
Yeah.
So, what's going on?
Well, you got what? You got 2 progress from that? 1 progress.
One progress.
Well, we merely had some stern words to give to this here rascally vampire who was up to no good, and we just had to take them from here to a quiet tertiary location and kill them.
Ooh.
they're a vampire.
Well, yeah,
Which
it's a
may-
complicated process.
And here's
Right.
the thing. Just because they're undead, that doesn't mean murder's not still a crime.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Hi, I have this badge. It means that I get to tell you that yes, I am sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I understand. It's a bad look, right? I hear you. I hear you. Skeleton up to no good in the necropolis. Well, what's new? But I swear to you, that merits the Arcane Crimes Division involvement. This is just a mundane situation. Bring out the proper beat cops to deal with something like this.
You can, absolutely. And I go for my beeper and my keys, and I'm like, great. So I think we do have some living person supremacists on the
On the beat.
on the beat. So I will make sure we have one of them.
We don't have to involve you fleshy folks in this.
You said
Why?
regular cops.
Well, I'm regretting that statement.
Okay then.
That's good. Should we untie your friend?
Oh yes, yes. If
Maybe get the
yes.
garlic off of him?
Yes,
I
yes,
hear
that would be
that's-
good.
That's not a
And
thing.
it's very
that they
bad
like.
for him. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
you go over and
I'll
with-
go
with
over and
your-
do that.
Yeah. Do you use like claws that pop out, or do you use a knife, or what do you do?
Depends on how he's tied up. If it's like a
Pretty
real
rope.
strong, if it's a big strong job, then yeah, I'll go ahead and just cut through
Yeah. You do so, and
as gingerly as I can. I don't want to hurt the
yeah,
guy.
you hear like a as you like pop it, and like Alani stands up. I think they're like a head taller than you, Jade. Regal look. Now that they don't have like a bit of rope, like they spit it out of their mouth, you can see like the slight burn marks in their cheeks where the garlic was sitting against. And now it does heal up rapidly. They're clean shaven. They've got a beautiful head of flowing hair. They kind of shake to side. It somehow rests in natural, like despite having just been, asleep and then harassed by these two and wrapped up in ropes, but it still looks fantastic. It looks like they just went to the salon. That natural vampire allure, and they, thank you. This has been a terrible, looks outside, day. I feel
Jade
like
Greenstone, Arcane Crimes Division.
I'm aware who you are. You work with my friend here. How's it going, by the way? Back in the
Great.
necropolis for good, or?
Oh no. We found a body.
Oh.
But
And
no,
this?
and this.
And they immediately, with supernatural speed, kind of almost appear in front of you, Jade, and reach over to look at that a little bit closer.
I do not let go of it.
I think I might know what's going on here.
Oh, that would be great.
That's great. That is so good to hear.
I
These
don't know what
guys,
they're
are
telling you. They don't know anything. There's no reason why we were gonna kill them. No particular reason.
Officer Bell, I think maybe we should bring these two in for deeper questioning.
So yes. So I go to the closet. I use my magic key. I open a door into the charter hall. I stick my head through. Hey, James. Got two for you. No. I'll come back later.
Oh, I'll book them.
Thanks. Shove.
Perfect.
Hey!
So you just pop them through into a holding cell next to, next to the desk sergeant or something.
Yeah. Deal with this, will you?
It's now just the three of you here in the room, and Alani, have a seat. This might be a longer conversation.
Oh, great.
I'm gonna eat the garlic.
Go for it. I think every bite you take of one, Aulani like winces visibly.
I'm doing
Um,
this for you. I'm getting it out of here.
It's gross.
And you know, I can smell it more strongly after you crunch it. Try and swallow it whole. Less crunching, less fumes.
Good news, it boosts the fire, so.
Fair enough.
Nice. Very nice.
I
I
think
pour him a
it's-
drink of whatever it is that he has around. I know where it
Delightful.
lives. Yeah.
Yes,
Really
I've got
nice
some-
vintage.
Yeah, I've got some well-aged. Still, we use an anticoagulant to keep it flowing nicely, but got a lovely vintage over here. We've got some blood sausage over here on the counter. We could always
Oh.
mix in.
Take a seat. I'll get it sorted for you. Just take a rest.
Bless you.
Take some
Aw.
time. We'll get this going. And I make him a snack.
Appreciate that.
I want to look around his lair, I guess.
Yeah,
his
if
lair.
you're gonna scour the area, give me a investigation. If you're gonna talk to them, it'll be an interview.
See, if I do the
Interview.
interview, I can use the verve cost
Mhm.
thing, and so maybe I should do that.
Okay.
Maybe I should
yes.
let you do the thing, and I'll do that. Okay.
I mean, Officer Bell is kind of going around gathering the bits and bobs for a little bit of a snack here. So
Yeah.
So one of my special abilities is called Powerful Presence. It costs 1 verve. I currently have 1 verve, so this will use that.
Mhm.
And people often find your natural power and self-confidence reassuring, because I'm a dragon. Add +1 progress following a case roll involving an interview.
awesome.
Go for it.
So
Let's
I
get
think I don't think I roll for an interview. As far as
You
Yeah,
do.
it's part of a
It's still a
case.
normal case roll. So you're gonna roll 3
Oh,
dice.
okay.
Pick your favorite 2.
Cool. All right. You want me to do that now?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, that's 2 6s. That's
Nice.
a 12. And then I get a
Perfect.
+1 progress on top of that.
Awesome. That pushes you up 4 more progress, which brings you to 9. That means both sides now have met the threshold, which means we get to move on
And you
to the
get your
next bit.
verve back.
And I get my
Um,
verve back.
And you're only at 4 times, which is good.
I think we're at 5.
Okay. This is why
We
I had you all
beat
take
8.
notes too.
That's the important bit.
Yeah. The other team did not. So we'll get to that.
But yes, we added so that would be, I think we added 4 progress. So
Yep.
because I have
You're
the
at 9 now, and the other team's at 10. But either way, you both have passed over the 8 threshold.
We were not efficient, but Ribrup did learn a lot about people.
It's true.
That's true.
Sometimes it's the real job is the people you meet along the way.
Yeah.
And you know, it all makes them better at their job.
Yeah, it's true. So let me give me this line of questioning a little bit from you, Jade.
I think I would just start off with, so do you want me to ask you first what happened, or would you rather I ask you what this is and have you explain that?
What happened is a simple affair. I was asleep, I was awake, I was bound. Those 2 fools were trying to cart me out of here. The important thing is why they
Yeah.
were doing that.
That was going to be my next question. I can see why you're friends with a police officer.
It pays to have quality friends in these times, certainly in this place. But where's my manners? I am Aulani of the Crimson Court. And they reach out their hand toward you.
Do I?
Yeah, if you take their hand. They take it. They give you a little gentle kiss on the knuckle. Common greeting. They return your hand to you. This week, I've been noticing some strange things around the necropolis. Bodies go missing here all the time, but not usually so many from the same places. It's usually random when the dead may awake and wander. But there was a crypt that was seemingly ransacked, all those within gone, as well as some of the mourners who'd been present. So I went to go investigate this on behalf of the court, especially given that there were signs of blood extracted at the scene, not perhaps naturally drawn from the bodies. I found parts of something like this there. Apparently, the mourners tried to defend themselves against something, and that was found on the scene. I can actually show you, and they go over and open up one of like a cabinet on the base of one of their shelves and pull out kind of like 1/3, a much smaller one compared to the one that you have, and they lay it out on the table. I was investigating this. It appears at the center, this crystal here, it's not actually it's not similar to those automaton, which are powered and have to be recharged magically in order to carry on with their business. Rather, this siphons from some kind of host. It's a parasitic crystal based perhaps on vampire blood itself, given magical form. And that is what powers it. It draws power from a host, this device. And it seems to choose ones that are, well, undead.
Good thing you didn't eat it.
I'm sure it has a very interesting flavor.
I suppose the advantage there being that if you're undead, you don't have to often eat or drink or any of those nasty habits. Choosing instead to draw your power from, the plane of souls itself. It's a rather trite affair, really. But
okay, so I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly.
yes,
The big brass clockwork spider. I mean, we did see. I look at Officer Bell. We did see like the marks on the body. Like, yeah. So it attaches to the body of, say, a ghoul, and instead of that ghoul needing to drink the blood of a person or something with blood in it, this would keep them going instead.
ghouls, and the thing with folk of my kind is that it's not so much that we need to drink blood in order to continue living. It's that we desire it above all else, and if that desire goes unquenched, it can drive one mad, a madness of sorts.
I understand completely.
The ghouls just begin so very hungry that it's all that dominates them. It's the only thing that they really know what to do. True undead, like vampires, ghouls, even that skeleton that was here earlier, when the previous person dies, the new mind is formed atop it, like a new imperial capital atop the ruins of a ruined civilization.
Like
you might
this
have
one.
access to some of what was there, but you're something new now. You're not the same as you were before. And I fear I may know something about their source. And they reach into the heart of the one that they had partially disassembled there. And they pull out on one of the gears. It's clearly been kind of extracted from something else, and new parts have been made around it, but it looks far older than some of the others. And you can see in some of the etchings on it some of those similar reliefs of pain, of suffering. And they hold it up and say, I believe much of the mechanics in here have been harvested from a crypt that you and I, Officer Bell, are all too familiar with. I fear that this came from the Crypt of Lost Hope, and something down there has been using the undead for something.
Right. I think today is going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, I
Hate
should
when
say
you say
so.
that.
I do have one benefit, one windfall, as it were. Our guests that stomped through here in their commotion trying to leave, I noticed that one of them did drop this. And they drag up a piece of parchment from the ground, which they lay down on the table. It is seemingly some kind of map of the uppermost level of the Crypt of Lost Hope, which you would know from having been there previously, Officer Bell, is like one of the most stable levels. It does not change for many decades. As you get deeper, that things can change much more frequently. And they point to a spot on the map. This appears to be some kind of guide for these numbskulls, presumably to go back to whoever master is leading them. If you follow it, perhaps you'll find more what you're looking for.
Excellent. Thank you. That is significantly more help than I had ever anticipated. Thank you.
Well, this has been an eventful day.
Yeah. Hey, we should go and deal with this, Greenstone.
You should.
Yes, but provided we are not overrun with small spiders trying to eat the undead souls.
There's going to be
tomorrow?
spiders.
They've got 8 legs. I'm generalizing. Drinks tomorrow?
Oh, of course.
Great.
Sounds fantastic. I have to tidy up in here. You carry on with your business. I'll carry on with mine.
Great.
Sorry about your door, by the way.
Ooh.
And they look up. It's all right. Given everything you've done for me today, water under the bridge. Well, not exactly water under the bridge. If it's water under the bridge, I can't cross the bridge. It's not. You understand. I appreciate the sentiment.
Let's go.
Let's go. So I open the magic door in the closet, back into the bullpen.
Yeah. You step through back into the bullpen.
Yes.
There's off to the side in one of the interrogation rooms. You kind of see through the paneled glass. There's flesh and bone. And then there's, you gave him a name just now, Jared?
James.
Sitting at one of the desks, just kind of doing some paperwork. They've taken, it's hard to take fingerprints when you don't have them, but there's kind of like just the same nubby bone impression.
Yeah. Handprint.
They're working on some of the documents and they look up. Yeah. What's up?
Right. Have these guys said anything useful?
No, not really.
Okay. Attempted kidnapping, conspiracy to commit murder, and perhaps working for a Lord of the Undead. We're still figuring out that last one.
Okay.
And running away. It was also a thing. They
Hectic
tried.
Tuesday.
Avoiding resisting arrest. Yes.
Yeah.
Resisting arrest. All right. I'll jot everything down here. You all can carry on, I guess.
Great. Right. So we should go down to the Tomb of Lost Hope.
Is that what we should do?
Yeah, I think we should. We might need some backup, but I doubt we're going to get it. So
we've got half an hour left in the stream, so I would recommend it.
I think maybe we should not do that just the two of us. Says the dragon, which should tell you something.
Call for backup.
I mean, that's
we
true.
can call for backup when we get there. You know, we can leave real fast. It might just be one guy. It might just be one guy. Yeah.
Just one really scary guy.
Or it might be one deranged engineer, you know. They do pop up with alarming regularity. Well, let's go.
Yeah, the two of you pop off back through the door, back into the necropolis, leaving Alani's place. The Crypt of Lost Hope is just beyond that. I want you to describe briefly for me, what does the entrance to the crypt look like? Officers, Bell and Jade, actually, if we just want to add a little bit of detail to this.
From the
Bell,
outside.
yeah, from the outside, what's the entrance like? Is it clear? Is it ostentatious? Is it like just a simple, little stone shack? Like how much does this look like? Is it just a gaping hole?
I like the gaping hole idea, and maybe it did once upon a time have a mausoleum over it. But I think these days, in order to emphasize the lost hopeness, it's just a hole. It's
This thing looks older than time. It looks like it was here before the city was. It is ancient, and it gives off a lot of exactly what it says on the tin of lost hope.
Well, the two of you approach this ancient, gaping depth, this black hole in the earth. I think all of the plants, all the grass around it is dead. It's just raw earth here around it, and very carefully it slopes inward. This is the kind of incline that would be difficult to climb out of, but easy to fall into. And the two of you descend into the Crypt of Lost Hope. Following the map that you have, you make quick work of this earliest level. There's a variety of kind of torchwork and other lights, even some electric lights that have been strung up down here. This is the most accessed part of the crypt. There's deeper things to be hunted for and treasures to be found, much deeper in, things that a spellrunner like Officer Bell has done in her past. But not digging down that deep following this map, you arrive similarly at one of those, holes in the wall, several skeletons and the like being properly interred here. And your map leads beyond that, so carefully I'll ask, do the two of you carefully move them out of the way or less delicately?
I can throw things.
Yeah, I don't think we should mess around. Speed is of the essence right now.
Yeah. Once again, they clatter to the ground. The skeletons complain from being awoken. But beyond, you find a similarly carved tunnel through to the back to the inner workings of this place. The two of you scrabble through, and on the other side, you find what is kind of like a boiler room. There's a large sort of magically hissing and turning metal box. You can see little windows on it with steam pulsing and rising, a sort of like greenish hue as some force is animating it here. Something is heating and incurring motion. But to your side, there's like a large flue, some kind of large pipe that runs off and down into darkness below. But there's like a cracked, like carefully removed hatch over top. You can see the water flowing because a section has been removed. And there's just a big kind of hastily scrabbled in the wall arrow pointing in the direction of the flow of water. And there's a variety of these kind of like luge-like capsules sitting empty next to it.
Like a disposal chute?
Like, I want you to imagine like a pneumatic tube, but with water instead of air.
I don't want to get in the pneumatic tube and ride through the darkness to find a supervillain. I really don't wanna.
You don't have to. We could swim. You could swim on my back.
Okay, let's do that.
I'm a water dragon as well as a flying dragon. So yeah, I will go dragon form, and yeah.
Yay.
We are going to get wetter this way. That is going to happen.
That's fine. It doesn't involve getting into a coffin-shaped object and trusting to the system designed by the sort of person who makes hydraulic spiders to vampirize people.
No, instead you're just trusting me. And I go swimming.
Yeah, you dive in, and Officer Bell holds on for dear life as you swim through this current and deep down into the darkness. Let's evaluate quickly our progress. We've got 9 on one group, 10 on the other. Both exceeds the requirement of 8. The thing we want to check against is whether or not your time is also 8 or higher. as when you accrue 8 time points, that gives you a delayed result where you are in worse positioning for the final encounter. In
They
this
get to
case,
drop on us.
group 1 has an 11. Group 2 rather has an 11. Group 1 has a 5. What I'm going to say is I'm actually going to take these and average them, because normally you guys would have your own things happening, your own situations. But since we're going to kind of work all this straight into the major at the end, we're going to sum these and take an average, which would be 16. And 16 halved, averaged, is 8, which means you all will have, well, actually, let me ask, is it 8 or higher? Is it higher than 8, or is it just 8 or higher?
Oh, yeah. Is it?
You must score 8 progress points before you accrue 8 time cost points.
Oh,
So in this case,
you're
you
dragging us
have a
down.
worse position. Yeah. So let's jump then into our final encounter. We're going to pick up with both groups, starting with our intrepid Ribrup and Officer Duskwing.
And there's a
The two of you
mole in here somewhere.
followed this paneled pathway through the darkness,
Yes.
and after crossing probably a kilometer or so, walking along this,
Confidently, it's this way.
yeah, the path now branches off in many directions, but all from the mouth of another one of those sandstone tunnels, kind of carved deeper into the rock behind. You see mechanics jutting out on either side. Something in there is connected to the whole host of the mechanics down here. The two of you, I presume, follow that through. And when you enter, you are in a chamber with these heavy chains dangling from the ceiling, huge gears lining the walls, turning, being cranked in tune. You hear a whistling boiler, some of that same pressurized water passing through here, powering many of the tools going on. And dangling from those chains, you see a series of dormant figures of, there's like a handful of bodies. There's a handful of those spider-like metal sort of spiders. I guess it's spider-like.
We haven't seen any of those yet. So yep.
Yep. Yeah, I say we as the
So
audience see. For you all, this is more shocking.
So are the spider-like things attached to the bodies, or are they?
So I think the bodies you just kind of see dangling. You can't quite see their backs right now. The spiders you kind of see free hanging on their own chains.
Okay.
And beyond that, you can see almost not quite wedged, but leaning up against the wall is probably 3 or 4 tons of siege automaton. As this is not of the same class as Ribrup. This is something much larger. This is a general class unit, and its eyes are deeply red aglow across from you. It's like only half of the body that you can kind of see. This colossal form, 2 huge arms, and like a rotating core you can see. And when the two of you enter, it rumbles.
Yep, I'm going to say to Sprocket, that's an evil red glow. Get out of here.
Yeah, I think Sprocket, who was already like kind of hidden behind some of the gearing to the side, says, "Okay," and they rush out behind you.
Yep. Don't want to kill the victim.
Yeah, the two of you step forward and. Excellent. You will make a powerful doll. And you will join our purpose.
Daddy.
Like that.
I'm not happy about this. I am going to try and give Ribrup an advantage by deploying flash and smoke bombs between us and that to try and buy us back a bit of time to sort our shit out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you chuck those forwards. The air fills with this smoke, with these bangs. And from the ceiling, as you do so, dropping from those chains, one of those figures, one of those other human figures, one of those spider-like automaton drop. And as that happens, off to the side, that pipe running past here, there's like a hatch on it that like whistles and then throws open. And leaping out into the space is Jade and Officer Bell kind of being dragged along by the tail, flying into the room. The two of you arriving as well.
Yeah, so basically as you arrive, there are bright magnesium flashes and the whole space is filled with slightly cloying smoke, which you recognize as Knock doing their thing.
Yeah, the two of you launch in and says, "Oh, you are unwelcome."
By order of the Arcane Crimes Division, you are under arrest for grave robbing, conspiracy to abduct, conspiracy to murder. What else we got, guys?
I'd like to use my terrifying roar to distract the enemy.
Theft.
Theft.
What else have we got, guys? Turns to Jade. Jade. Ah!
And theft. Are you going to come quietly?
Not stop me. All
Right.
of you will serve.
And resisting arrest and threatening an officer of the law. Great.
And we're gonna get to a conflict. We
Yay!
have this general siege automaton. Let's talk about that real quick.
Mel, you have another verve from me just doing that.
Yeah, I assumed we were already in a conflict, which is why I did
Yeah.
the flash bombs.
We're in the conflict phase.
I have
I
5 verve to spend.
I think I have to go again. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck, team.
Yeah.
So a conflict roll is going to similarly be 3 6-sided dice with picking your favorite 2. How this is going to work is that since you all are at a disadvantaged position, this creature was able to prepare in advance. They have things ready to fight you. It's going to kind of get the first round here, and it's going to be able to attack with its creatures. Basically, each side will get to continue going until they get a failed roll. Each subsequent roll gets a -1 applied to make it more difficult. Spider-like appendages on their back, big brass legs dug into their sides. They're moving a little bit jerkily at first, but then it kind of evens out into smoother motion. And as they both emerge from the fog, you can see that they're actually dressed fairly normally, like these were supposed to be subtle insertions to society. One appears to be dressed like a clerk of some sort. They've got like a little visor, their glasses, they've got like a pencil behind their ear, they're holding a clipboard. And then the other one is a woman. She has a hard hat on. She also is holding a clipboard. She's wearing high-vis vest. She's like a foreman of some sort. And the first one, the clerk, he kind of stumbles towards the officers. Your books don't look good. And then they like dive towards you with the pencil from behind their ear and move to stab, let's say, Officer, you emerged from the water, Officer Officer Bell, say. I
mean, there's some high-grade disguises, 2 clipboards.
Yep.
And a safety
They're extremely
jacket.
effective. That's going to be a 6. So a 6 is success. Then the round ends. They're going to inflict 1 fatigue. So I think they drive that pencil home, maybe into your shoulder, It's not a terribly deep wound, but it is
Only a
certainly
pencil.
irksome. And as they do so, they like kind of reel back, their pencil now gone, and they're like, "This will make it difficult to do the books." And it's now your side's turn. Who would like to start?
Oh, did they only get the one move?
They rolled a 6, so they did get a success. They inflict fatigue, but
And then round
ends
ends.
for them.
Round
Yep.
ends, yes, great. I reckon Ribrub should go first. Make
I
a
can do a
mess.
partner boost, which is an explosive distraction, which will do collateral damage of 1d3 and give 1d3 verve. So I think I'll start with that.
You should start with that.
That
Yeah.
sounds good, because I've got
Yeah.
some things I can do if I've got some verve.
Yeah.
All right, so roll that.
Gotta
verve
help my
bonus.
partner.
That's right.
Now, do I add all 3 dice together or just 2?
Just 2.
I got a 4.
You don't have to roll for a partner boost
Yeah.
though, do you?
In this case,
I don't.
yeah. You just
Okay,
execute
sorry.
the boost and then give the verve.
Okay, my bad. I'll roll my d3 and do it properly this time. Forget I did anything wrong. Well, I rolled a 2 for collateral damage
Yeah.
and a 2 for verve.
Hey, that's great.
Woohoo!
So I rolled 2s and 2s and 2s.
Yeah, yeah.
So then, while Ribrup is doing damage and creating a distraction, which we've got lots of distractions going on here. No one knows what's going on. Who would like to do the first conflict roll from our side?
What have I got for conflict?
We're gonna try to get through this scene in 7 minutes. Let's go.
I can do. I've got a pretty sturdy attack move. I've got Sidewinder. I hurl a shard of raw magic that unerringly strikes a target. A successful attack inflicts an additional +2 fatigue.
Love
That's
that.
going to cost me 2 verve, so I'm down to 3 verve. And I'm going to roll my 3 dice. And that is a 9. So that's 2 fatigue plus an additional 2 fatigue. So that's 4.
Awesome. Who are you attacking?
It's a big one.
The big one? Okay.
Yeah, the big one.
You do your Sidewinder. What's up? Give me a quick visual for that, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wind up, like MCU styles, and then just biffing and all of the embarrassingly pink and fuchsia sparkles kind of coalesce as they go towards the bad guy, and then just a spear sort of thing stabs into them, and many more cheerful sparkles. I am in a tomb of the undead, and I'm sparkling like a child's birthday party. It is.
And the general automaton sort of like moans in response. Who wants to go next? Either Ribrup or yes, Officer Duskwing.
So that's this. So this will be the second move. So it's at a
-1.
At a -1.
Okay. So I have I quick draw my 2 crossbow pistols, and I'm going to fire 2 shots, one at the automaton and one at the person in the
We've
safety
got
desk.
a clerk. We've got a foreman.
Yeah, the four person.
Yeah.
So so that spends 2 of my 5 verve. And I rolled a 7, but that's actually going to be a 6 because it's -1, and which means that I inflict +1 fatigue plus but it applies to both targets simultaneously.
So both targets are going to take an additional +1, right?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, you quick fire off, striking both our 4-person and then also the large robot at the back of the room.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
both kind of shudder from the attack, and then immediately respond. In this case, our hard-hatted, our woman in the hard hat stumbles forward with her clipboard, and she raises it high and says, "You don't have the permits for this," and then swings it down at, we'll say you, Officer Duskwing. And let's roll our dice.
Yeah, well, I have inconvenienced her in her safety inspection.
That's an 11. So that's going to be 3 fatigue.
Okay.
I think it's just keeps bringing it down on you, stays up in your face, angry like that, hitting you with it.
Ooh.
And meanwhile, the crab, the sort of spider crab-like automaton, skitters forward towards you, Officer Bell, and leaps towards you. Its legs hoping to impale you some.
Nope.
And that's only a total of 5 minus 1 on the dice. That's a 4. Failure. Round ends immediately. So it leaps towards you. Describe for me how you evade it. And then presumably counterattack, because it's your turn next.
Yeah.
Or Ribrup's next, probably. But
Yeah, Ribrup's got to take a turn to mess some stuff up. But yeah, I roll out of the way. There's so much smoke, it doesn't have time to readjust its lunge halfway through the air. Yeah.
Totally. Ribrup, what are we doing?
Ribrup's
Commands.
back opens up and this giant cannon emerges.
Yeah.
It's laser time.
It's time for the hex cannon, and I'm gonna aim it at the big automaton
Yeah, let's do it.
because he's my biggest threat. And I will roll completely different dice than last time because I roll bad. Huh. I got a 10.
Ooh, love that for us.
And it's
Now,
start
it
of the
says-
round, so no negative.
It says collateral damage is 1d6, but I inflict an additional 1d6 fatigue to a successful attack on a single target. So does that mean 2d6s?
So roll 1d6 for the collateral damage and 1d6 for your extra fatigue.
Collateral damage is 3, extra fatigue is 1, and because I rolled 10, that's an extra 3 fatigue, right? Plus 1 verve, which is good because I just spent some. Yeah, that's me.
So that was a 1 on the fatigue dice, yeah?
Yeah, so with
So then
the
that's 4
additional fatigue, so that's 4
fatigue,
fatigue
Yeah.
and 3 damage.
Great.
I think then that puts us over 8 fatigue on our major target. I think you level your laser. We see the scope. It line up despite the smoke, despite the shocks going off, despite your partner getting smacked over the head with a clipboard. You focus your laser in, and with a blast, your hex cannon stuns forward and strikes. I think it melts the joint of the arm clean off. The arm that was sort of dangling in the air, and it falls to the ground, and it sort of wails in robotic pain. And then you see the lights in its eyes flicker, and it says, "Not like this. We could have had our revenge." And the lights dim and darken, and then the spider creature stops and shudders and falls to the ground, and both figures being controlled by them likewise stop and stutter and fall to the ground. And as the smoke begins to clear, once again, merely the whirring of machinery fills this place, as you have, for the moment at least, halted whatever was here, whatever was being controlled by this dangerous general automaton.
And some cracks spreading through some of the concrete. Hopefully none of it's structural.
Yep. You see chunks of the ceiling break off and fall. One of the gears looks slightly out of alignment now from this collateral damage.
So maybe the Crypt of Lost Souls is like a little bit clunkier and more obvious in its slow movements.
Oh yeah,
The
I think
crypt of
people
lost
currently in the
circuit
crypt
boards.
feel it shuddering a little bit more as it moves. Love that.
They have met their programmer.
That's terribly bad taste.
And I will say, like, once again, the day is saved by our detectives. Certainly, where the collateral damage happened was much better this
Yes.
time than what you were accused of at the start.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Maybe, maybe this one will slide under the rug, and you'll be able to get the captain off your back a little bit.
Yeah. I think we probably should take this automaton in for
Digaling.
yeah, I mean is it actually off permanently, permanently
As we all know, if the lights are off, it is no longer operational.
Good, but it might be salvageable by someone with the skills, so we should get it out of their reach.
yeah, I think we should take it back to the
Mhm.
take it back to the charter house. And these spider things, they're dangerous.
Yes. Might take us a while to backtrack far enough to find an actual door, but we should head out. Before something falls on us.
We'll go and pick up a few pieces from the automaton, and then the little evil light will blink and then blink off.
As the four of you leave to go and find a way out of here and get back to the charter house and send people to collect the things here, collect what remains. But with that, because we're partly out of time and partly because we've defeated our big bad of the session, that's where we leave our detectives. Congratulations. Polarity is safe for now, once again. And we'll move to our post-session stuff. Namely, to begin with, our giveaway. It is officially time. If you are in the chat right now, and if you've joined us recently, fantastic timing, because we're about to do a giveaway of a new, well, not a new thing, but of a fantastic little thing. We've got both a PDF copy of Arcane Crimes Division as well as a beautiful softback color copy of It All Started in a Tavern, a collection of 700 adventure hooks, over 250 NPCs, 300 random encounters, and so much more. And that's going to go to one of you here. How this is going to work, I think they've already put the details in the chat. Basically, we've got a bot. I think they're going to get it going.
You put a word in.
And
from B&D. I guess no one else watches Dice Legends. They created their own song for B&D sponsorship. It's awesome.
Excellent. I believe everyone will enter by submitting a keyword into the chat, but
so one of those exclamation marks and then a word.
Yeah. I realize now that it's not in my notes.
Any.
Okay. So I'm getting instructions. I'm getting instructions.
Yay! Yay for the production team.
Appreciate the help. All right. So we're officially going to start. Everybody, if you would like to enter the drawing, first, please remember, we will only ship to domestic New Zealand. If you are listening in from outside of there, I'm sorry, we will not ship it to you. So please enter the drawing if you are localer than that. But what you're going to want to do, starting here for the next, I think it's 3 minutes, we're just going to faff about while this goes on. But we would love you to enter exclamation point Arcane, all lowercase letters, all sort of one word lumped together. That's going to be the command to the chat to enter yourself for the prize draw. And while you all go ahead and do that, we're going to just chatter about the game a little bit, I think.
I feel like we should just land back at the charter house and see what kind of reception we get.
Yeah, we can do a quick little scene, a little post-credit scene.
I feel like, I feel like there's, as the credits roll, there is time for us to get into some trouble.
Yes, love that. So I think we're in a scene back at the charter house. We're in kind of the bullpen. I think the desks have kind of been shifted to the side to make a path from a doorway that has opened up to the elevator, which now has a line of various officers who are all carrying like just or dragging crates that are full of all of this automata material. There's like gears, and there's like a box full of these spider things, and these are all being kind of hauled through this magical doorway. And the four of you are standing back, kind of looking on, maybe helping a little bit here and there, but this is kind of your win for this one. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask Officer Ted, which kind of kobold is Officer Ted today?
We haven't introduced them in this game. Officer Ted is another officer here at the precinct, somebody who we defined in our offline preparatory game. Kobolds in this world are kind of like little goblinoids, but rather than being like lizard-like, they're instead like animal-like, and they can be kind of any animal-like, but they're like a colony of them. I think Ted, who is a collection of these various kobolds, all kind of stuffed into this officer uniform. I think currently at the top we've got, I think it's an armadillo kobold.
I'm gonna ask Ted. I'm gonna ask Ted to get me a coffee.
Yeah, no problem. And Ted kind of like squiggles. It's like a orderly system inside of that suit, but like don't think too deeply about it. Dixon asks, more like the original kobolds, but not strictly canine. Yes, exactly sort of the vibe that we had going on.
Yeah, but they're sort of autonomous collectives. So underneath Nock's house, and like Nock's apartment, there's a collective, a kobold collective called Nat.
It's in our notes somewhere. Yeah. All the kobolds who are part of a unit share a name, but they will probably be look quite different because they're all going to be different creatures, and they're all kobold likes. Anyway, Streamlabs says the prize draw has closed. No more entries, so we'll get to that in a second.
There's no more entires.
No more entires. Ooh.
Okay, so do we get into trouble when the sergeant shows up?
Yeah, I think the captain walks slowly over to the four of you.
We did our best, Mom.
No, chandeliers were damaged.
No. For a day on the beat, the four of you did all right. This could have been much, much worse if it had been allowed to fester. Putting these controlled copycats, deployed around the city would have been a real headache. I hear there was some damage underground and over in the necropolis. But we don't look too closely in those places anyway,
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you.
Someone's got to go replace that door, but other than that, you did good out there. Tomorrow you'll be back at your normal desks. I hope you'll be rested and ready for more work. This city never stops.
And we sort of have our smiling moment, fist raised in the air, and the whole scene fades to black. And I'm waiting. Do we have a prize draw result?
Yeah.
Trogs 2010 has won. Congratulations, Trogs. Yep, Streamlabs is already on it, but you can just go ahead and email KiwiRPG at KiwiRPGofficial@gmail.com to claim your prize. All you need is your name, your delivery address, and then you should also have just like a screenshot or just evidence that you're logged into Twitch under that name, so that we can be sure that it's the right person. And then we'll go ahead and send that off to you. Congratulations. And a reminder to everyone else in the chat who maybe would be keen on winning their own copy. Another way to do so is to, within the next 24 hours, starting at the start of our stream, so from noon New Zealand time to noon tomorrow New Zealand time, 7 p.m. Central to 7 p.m. Central. If you have purchased a copy of Arcane Crimes Division, you can submit evidence of you purchasing that to the same email address and enter yourself to win a drawing that we're going to have on June 1st. And then we'll let the winner know from that, and they will then also receive their prize. Similarly, that will only be shipped local to New Zealand. So if you're an international listener, thank you for joining us. We're delighted to have you, but shipping is only going to be domestic. Beyond that, of course, we've got the discount on minis from BD&D. That code has also been drifting around the chat. Will probably be put back in here in a second. And then also we have some fantastic collections of games, encounters, dev tools, designs, etc. on DriveThruRPG and itch.io. These bundles are just going to be good for this week. So please go check those out if you are interested. Buy one. Not only are you going to benefit local creatives here in New Zealand, but also you're going to get some really great materials. Some from our very own Sero, who has written a mystery for both collections. So please check those out. And if you're interested, grab a set for yourself. But I think that covers everything we needed to do. Yes, we did our drawing. We talked about the other drawing. We talked about all the great stuff going on this week. Oh yeah, come back tomorrow for the next stream.
Yes.
Let me check the time for that real quick so we can make sure I'm not just...
Later in the day.
Yeah,
it's gonna
tomorrow
be a little
evening,
later in the
I think.
day.
Tomorrow's a work day.
Yeah, tomorrow New Zealand evening.
Let's see. Day 2, it is 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. I've got down here. That doesn't sound long enough, does it? London time,
They're fast.
9:30 a.m. and from New York time, it's 4:30 in the morning. Sorry, guys.
Wake up early, pour yourself a cup of coffee, check out the stream if you're in New York. Otherwise, please join us at a lovely evening time in New Zealand. And tomorrow is Deathmatch Island with Diceratops. So look forward to that. That's going to be a ton of fun as well. But I think this is the part where we thank you for joining us and have a lovely Sunday and a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.